Good evening. It is 7 p.m. and tonight it is going to be an amazing show. This is the Marcia Week show. I'm Marcia Weeks and you're watching from the beautiful, beautiful island of Barbados. How was your Sunday? How was your Sunday? Sunday, January 28th. How did you spend your Sunday? I trust you had a wonderful time. I had a great time in my garden today. Today was garden day. I turned off that phone and I was just with the green outside with the dirt and the green and just communing. And I got some great cassava. Oh Lord, this thing's sweet. It's so sweet. Lovely, lovely cassava. And from my garden. And I really want to encourage us to go out in your garden and grow something. If it's even in a pot, grow something. Tracy Barrow, good night. What time is it? What time? What time is it? It is the opposition time. Yes. Good evening, Heathcliff, Monica Inns. Kamar, oh my Lord, beautiful Sunday. Yes, it's a beautiful Sunday. Ah, Raik, Raikwan, Kweli. Yes, yes, I'm missing my regular greeting. See my regular greeting coming up, Raikwan. Sawubona, Sawubona. Galvez, oh Lord, thank you, Galvez, for all that you do for the opposition and you and your family and the support that you guys give. It's amazing. Great night to all loyal sons and daughters of the opposition. I feel great, guys. I feel great. I feel energized. And I'm saying, keep the pressure on. Don't you ever, opposition, don't you ever let those, any kind of success, anything that they're saying, and now they're paying attention. And this is not the time. We're not going to be like, oh, relaxing. No, no, no. We keep the pressure on because we're warriors. We know how it's done. We know how it's done. Sir Alfred from Brooklyn, I'm telling you, he keeps the pressure on. And because he's on every single night. And you know what? When we talk about keeping the pressure on, it's really that we want change. We want change in this beautiful island. We want our leaders to begin to follow the laws that are on the books, follow the laws of the land. Don't make things up. Don't break the laws. Don't make promises to us and break them and believe that we're going to forget about it. No, 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 no. We are going to keep the pressure on. Pauline Maynard, we keeping the pressure on, right, Pauline? Yes, Nigel Newton, we keeping the pressure on. Hurricane Writer said, what time is it? It's opposition assembly time. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Judith, it was great to see you again, Judith. God bless you. Hope you're feeling well. Good to see you locked on, Sir Alfred, again. Zashe Yearwood. Hey, Zashe, I don't believe that I've seen you a little bit, Zashe. Colin Clark. Oh, my Lord. Tracy Barrow, did I greet you yet? Tracy, I think I did. Michelle. Hey, Michelle Grant. Yes, 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 yes. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Oswald. Hi, Oswald. How are you? How are you, Joyanne? Wonderful, wonderful. Colin Clark, we keep the pressure on. And we're going to discuss a little bit about how we keep the pressure on. All right. Trevor Chase, good night. From Boston, good night, good night, Trevor. CG, let me tell you, CG is one of the most important people. She's not on this panel, and that's why I tell you, it's not about the people on the panel, it's about all of us. And this woman, CG, I will not forget, these are the things I don't forget. She was at that location before that press conference started, and CG was had that floor being cleaned and everything. She was going at it. She was going at it. She was cleaning that place. She was, and it just brought joy to my heart. 2 hours before we started, she was there and took the bus, by the way, from what I understand. And she was there. And that is the kind of dedication that made the press conference successful. You see, that's it. Wayne, Pedro Gemot, good evening. Mystic Angel, Wayne Austin. Oh my Lord, good to see everybody on tonight. Yes, yes, Elaine Rivers. Hi, Elaine Rivers. Forward ever, backward never. And we're going to talk about some practical things that we can do to keep the pressure on as citizens of this country. It's all 280,000 of us, and we make up the opposition. It's all of us, all, regardless of the party. Regardless of the party. Don't worry about that. Don't worry. Listen, let's save our country and forget about the colors. Let's truly save our country and forget about colors. Huh? Oh, we're not kids. We're not lining, it's not sports day. We're not lining up behind any colors. Sugarcane King. Hey. Oh, good night. We're not sleeping. We're very much awake. Yes, I'm telling you. I am telling you. Zasha Yearwood is making me know, though I might not see him comment, but that he's watching every single live. Oh my Lord. That's some commitment. That's some commitment, Carrie. Hey, Carrie's always on as well. Oh my goodness. Bless you. Kryptonite and Rachel Thornhill. Square 4. Everybody who is joining, exit out. Good night to everybody, all 203 of you. And it is only 7:07. And that is what I'm telling people. I know that a change is coming. And the change that is coming is that we are changing. We are changing. You know, it's like a woman who is in an abusive relationship. And, it's not until that woman comes into realization of their worth, that woman understands their worth, their value, who she is. Or even if a man who is in an abusive relationship, it's not until that partner, right, in the relationship recognizes their worth and that they don't have to take that anymore. They don't have to take crap from people. They understand who they are. They're walking in their God-given identity. And that is what is happening. That is a change. That change is happening. And because the change is happening, we are rising up and we're just taking the things off of our back. We're breaking chains like Bussa. We're breaking chains because that is the more powerful change, because it's when the people rise up. When the people rise up, the powers must fall down. And what we're saying is this. What are we saying to our government? We want a change. We want a change in the way you handle our laws. We want a change in the way you handle us. We are demanding change. We are rising up. And we are saying, let there be justice in this country. Let true justice be done in this country. We're rising up and we're saying absolutely no to corruption. That's what we're rising up and saying in this country. We're rising up and saying that we demand good governance in this country. We demand good governance, good stewardship of our taxes that we pay. Yes, financial accountability. We are demanding transparency. We are demanding leaders of integrity. That's what we are demanding, regardless of the color, regardless of the color that they stand behind and the party that they stand behind. We don't care anymore. That's the change that is happening in Barbados. There is a flood of this non-partisan thinking and ideology, and that is what is going to change Barbados. That is going to change Barbados. The moment we decide we're not going to line up behind party, but the only thing that matters is this country. And it is for that reason we keep the pressure on. It's not about a personality. We're not against a personality. Yes? Yes, Scully Dog Kennels. Listen, we are applying pressure. Pressure, according to the dictionary, is the continuous physical force exerted on or against an object by something in contact with it. Again, continuous force exerted on or against an object by something in contact with it. I suggest to you tonight that this opposition of 280,000 people, that we are rising up and we are putting pressure on this government. We are a continuous force, and we are exerting on or against this object by being in contact with it. Pressure is the use of persuasion, influence. Yes? To persuade, to influence. And you know, that's what they do with us at election time, regardless of the party, as I said. Because you know what? None of those people who came from all the parties, B, D, and the third party that came and knocked at my door here during the last election, I've not seen either of them, actually. Let's be real now. None of them have I seen since. They're very skilled at using that, putting that pressure on us to get their vote, to get our vote. We are now going to put the pressure on them for accountability. It's an exchange. And that is what is happening. That is what is happening in this country. There is a rising up, there is an understanding of who we are. And we don't need to be violent about this. It has nothing to do with violence. We're educated people. We can read, as Mr. Caswell loves to say. We can read. We're educated people, you know. And this pressure, how we're going to do this practically this week. This week, between Monday. Tomorrow, Monday, is going to be very, very crucial for us. 273 of us on here, and more are going to come on, and we're going to keep repeating this. We're going to make available for you the document. It's a 5-page document that was read by, I believe, about 9 citizens, read it in total at the press conference. And it has in it all of the concerns of the citizens as a whole. We gathered them throughout on the show and just talking to people. And we put them together in this document. And that's what we presented at the press conference. Now we want to go a little further with it. We're going to ask you to get hold of that document, and you're going to get hold of it either on the MarciaWeekShow.com, which is the website, or you can check my my Facebook page, the Marcia Week Show Facebook page. You can message 236-7000, 236-7000, 236-7000. You can message that number to receive the document, okay, that was read at the press conference with all of the concerns. And what we're going to do on Monday, you know, we had homework last week. You see how important that homework was? Our homework, including myself, we all had the homework. And the homework was to read the Barbados Identity Management Act, BIMA, right? And we did. And coming out of that, we came back. It was Monday that we gave that assignment. And on Monday we came on Wednesday, sorry, we came back and had a very, very, very strong discussion, very educational, because we had information. It wasn't just conspiracy theories and all kinds of things. So sometimes you have to fluff out all of that and just get to what the issues are. And we were able to do that on a Wednesday, you see? And then by Friday we were at a press conference. Now we have some classwork. We have some assignments to do. Monday, we're going to take now, we're moving on from there. We're going to take that document and we're going to email it, WhatsApp message it, Instagram message it, Facebook message it to your members of parliament. Can we do that? There are almost 300 of us on at this moment. When you get that document, guys, you could go on. We can all read. Go online and search for your member of parliament if you don't have the email address, and you're going to email that document to them. It is important. They have parliament on Tuesday. And we are being told that they're going to make an announcement in parliament on Tuesday. We're not letting up. We're not going to assume that they're not going to come back with any deadlines. We don't know. And frankly, we are marching ahead. We are not sleeping. We are not resting. We are going to send that document via email. WhatsApp message. You have a WhatsApp number for your MP. Send it. Are you in a WhatsApp group with the MP? Put it in there. Are you on Facebook? You know their Facebook page? Facebook message them. You're on Instagram and you think, put it on Instagram. The point is to communicate it to all 30 of them. Can we do that? I'm going to do that with mine. Can we do that? Can we do that? There are 320 of us on here at the moment. Someone says, Diana Seeley says, pressure contacts that thing continually to be effective. We can't start now and then we stop. You see what I mean? Because that's why they say that we're a 9-day wonder. Do you know that's what they say? That we're going to forget about it because they're getting ready to come with a whole bunch of sweet words on Tuesday. You get me? We know how it goes. We understand how it goes. They're preparing for us. They're preparing for us. And it has nothing to do with who the messenger is. We're not fighting Marsha Cattle. Are we? No, we're not. We're not fighting you, Miss Scott, Miss I don't know what her married name is. I think she's not married. Marsha Cattle. We're not fighting you. We're not fighting you. So this is not personal at all. This is about us. Huh? It's not about you, it's about us. And so everybody, we know what is going to happen. Right? We know. Somebody says I can put it on Instagram and Facebook, but I don't have any contact info for my MP. Okay, good point, loyal daughter 66. If you put that MP's name online, it will come up, and there will be a website or something there. I've done it before, and you will be able to find the email address for that MP. And you should at least find a number. Yeah. So the page, and what we want you to do is as soon as you get the document. Now, everybody who gets the document on here, the assignment, you have an assignment, a position, is to put that document on put it on all of your pages. If you're on Instagram, put it up. Wherever you are, put it up and say what it is and tell people that they can share it. But you must send it to all 30 must have it. All 30 must have it. And then we're going to send it to the senators as well. Everybody is going to have this document. Because I'm telling you, this is the one, this is that hill. I tell you, Barbadians are saying the line in the sand with this one. Watch, I tell you. But make sure that they have it. You make sure that they have it. Listen, how many of you are going to do that? Let me see the thumbs up. Let me see the thumbs up. How many of you are going to do that? How many of you are going to reach out to your MP? I'm seeing the general is there and his camera is on, so I think he's feeling better. How many of you are going to do that, to follow that assignment, to carry out that assignment? It is simple, but just take you a couple minutes. But it's important. And you read the document, you see there's nothing that is disrespectful in that document at all. All facts in there. We're not disrespecting anyone on the show. This is not disrespectful at all. This is us, and we have to do it for us. Tomorrow, guys, tomorrow is important because Tuesday they're going to come with a bug of thing in our ears. And we want to make sure that they all have what we want to say, that they have it all. The issue about the court and everything is in there. And this is basically where it comes down to. Let me read this here before, as the general is getting ready to come on. You got to give me a thumbs up and let me know when he's ready. Okay, he's not quite ready. Not quite ready as yet. But let me just read something for you, please. This is the kind of language and so on. I see loyal daughter say yes, they're going to do it. Hurricane writer, that's just two. That's just two. Loyal daughter, who is your MP? Who is your MP? Hurricane writer, who is your MP? Put your MP, put the name of your MP in here. We're being very practical this evening. It's not about coming in here and talking about, what the news and so on, but we got to get practical about this. This is the kind of language that we have. It's part of this document says the citizens of Barbados are being told that the Trident ID is not mandatory as per the Trident ID website. But then, on the other hand, states that citizens would need to pin the ID card to access services both from the public and private sector. This is evidenced by the Barbados Identity Management Act and statements by the Prime Minister. As citizens, we therefore assert that this action by the government renders the Trident ID card mandatory, which would be an illegal act perpetrated by the government against its citizens. As citizens, we declare that our constitutional rights and freedoms are being infringed upon, and that those who do not sign up for the ID card or did not pin their Trident ID card will be unfairly discriminated against, as they would be denied access to services. If this Trident ID card continues, or if this Trident ID continues with these conditions, the citizens of Barbados will take this matter to court to protect the constitutional rights and freedoms of its citizens. Yeah? Yeah? So that's it. Okay, FX Trading said that their MP is Tony Moore. Please get it to her. Carrie Pitts says it's David Ishmael. Yes, get it to him. Where the rest of them? Oh, loyal daughter, where? Oh Lord, this is mine too, but we're gonna bombard him. Where the rest of you from? Listen, it's only 3 of us sending this thing out of 361. Listen, we're not playing around. Who is your MP? And make sure this goes out on Monday to them. Right? Everything we said in that document. Let me see if the general is ready. General, are you ready? Yes. Okay. Oh, good night, General. Good night. Good night. Good night.
Good night. I'm
It's
I'm
good
not
to.
back to my I'm not back to my usual 85%, but I'm here. I haven't been 100
Okay.
for a long time, you know.
Okay. Wonderful. 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 It's good to have you here tonight, and we can see your face, and good to have you. And I know your wife was making sure she's taking care of you, and God bless you both. Please make sure you always give her a good evening. I don't know if she's listening, but good evening to you, ma'am. um, Wonderful. Well, I was just here saying um to the loyal opposition, I was saying to them, Mr. Franklin, that we have not, we're not going to pause. We don't take pauses, right? We have to keep the pressure on. And one way to do that is that document that we created, 5 pages, that was read the on Friday, that we want to send that out to our MPs tomorrow, Monday, because we want them to get it. They said that they're going to do some discussion and have something to say in Parliament. We want to make sure all 30 of them have it, right? So I'm asking them for their MPs, and people are telling me ADG says it's Trevor Thorne. I mean Trevor Prescott. Sorry, what am I reading? And someone said Sonia Brown. Somebody says they're in the diaspora and they're gonna send it to the prime minister's email. Correct? Yes. Somebody, Premium Vibe says their MPs Neil Rowe.
Well, they're not paying him any money now, so they might have to send somebody else.
You
They're
know,
trying to take him out.
Ryan Strawn, Galvez, Mr. Teachway. Look at his MP. Look who the MP is. Smile and wave, MP Ford. The people are hilarious. Smile and wave, MP Ford. And I mean, okay. Wilfred Abrams is Joyanne Faith. So Joyanne, make sure you get hold of that document and send to him. Okay. Make sure you get hold of that document and send to him. Somebody saying, "Welcome back, Mr. Franklin." They said you don't have any oil leaf on your head.
They're off now.
Okay. Charles Griffith. Oswald Newton says his is Charles Griffith. Oh Lord of mercy. I don't know who this person is. Look on the screen. Look on the screen, Mr. Franklin. They said that's their MP.
Yeah,
I
I think I know who that is.
I don't know. I don't know who that MP is. I don't know an MP by that name. Um, but people are responding, and we are going to get it out to all 30 of them. We make sure that they get it. Before they meet, and for whatever it's worth, we want to make sure that we made an effort so that they can hear what it is that concerns us. But Mr. Franklin, what's on your mind tonight, sir, before we delve into some of these
No,
topics?
I was going over this, but this Barbados National Identity Act. It's always good to go over legislation because sometimes you miss things. And the government has been acting illegally and contrary to their own law that they passed because Section 34 of this act says the identification cards authorized under Section 25 of the Representation of the People Act, Cap 12, and under the Statistics Act, Cap 192, shall
Hmm.
remain valid for a period of 12 months from the date of the commencement of this act. Now, because they were rushed and trying to please the people in the international community to get this thing done, and they can't get it done, they keep putting back the date. But the only way this debt can be legally put back is since this was passed in Parliament, they're going to go back to Parliament. They have not done so. And they just say, oh, it can't
Mm,
remain valid. The Prime Minister cannot make edicts. And we have to stop her. We have to stop her from making edicts. I'm not saying just like you off with his head, that kind of old thing, where she can just come and make a rule. She does not have that power. This might seem minor, but it is the thin end of the wedge. When you get used to breaking the rules, you break a small one, and then you break another one, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until there are no rules left for you to break. You break them all.
correct.
You see, so just check 34. This act came into force in 2021, even though they didn't tell anybody anything.
Mm-hmm.
And they kept it there in abeyance, waiting until they were ready because they were not ready. They're still not ready yet. And the only reason they pushed back the last time was not they're not ready. This time they they probably ready now, but they realize that the opposition has a point, and they don't want to go to court to fight this. So, in any event, what they should do right now is to repeal this. This needs to be repealed because it is not for the benefit of Barbadians. It is not something that they had actually planned to do, and tell us this is when the Prime Minister goes away and gets her instructions. Because I dare say, Barbados is not being run from Barbados anymore.
Mm.
We take our instructions when the Prime Minister makes her 72 trips so far. Because somebody sent me a thing telling me that they counted 72 um, trips the Prime Minister made since he became Prime Minister. You know?
Really?
Yeah, somebody sent it to me this morning said it was 72. But with those 72, even if it was $1,000 for a trip, and it's a hell of a lot more than that. Because these people get per diem and air, airfare, accommodation and stuff. So these people are drained on the public purse right now. You know how many people can be fed with the amount of money that these people are wasting? When we had COVID, nobody was going anywhere, and the meetings were being held. They were being held on Zoom. They were being held on Teams or whatever else the government got. Now, if you have a cockfight in St. Lucia, the Prime Minister down there, if they got
And
into some meeting,
you're saying somebody. I'm glad that person did that, and this is what we need more of the citizens rising up and doing this kind of research. Because we're intelligent people. There's 72. She's counting approximately. She's alleging that the prime minister has made approximately 72 trips since she is it since this time of her being in office.
I think it's her for since becoming Prime Minister. I will double check. Yeah, I've heard she has traveled 72 times since coming into office. Also, that 18 now to do with her job office. I took 4 people in the. And I said also that she now has 18 people in her office doing the job that previously took 4 people to do.
Hmm.
And then the person went on and said, many hands make light work. She said, of course, that figure also suggests that there are many hands that have no work to do. This was sent to me by a couple of people today. So it's probably making the rounds on WhatsApp. I have no reason to doubt it because I thought there were more than 72.
Hmm.
Because she's hardly ever here. Then you look around, when she comes home, she goes and holds a press conference and keeps some noise, let people see, oh, I'm here. So make it
Hmm.
look like she's around the place all the time. Mm-mm. And a lot of these press conferences don't really say anything. They're just to give people the impression that the prime minister is around her and her fingers on the pulse. Her fingers on the pulse. She wants to run this country so, by Zoom.
Yeah.
We need
You
to
know.
go, we need to do something about this thing. People are not getting what they bargained for. When they said, you know, that she's going to change things and she's going to be open and she's going to be transparent and or everything that them wasn't, and we are seeing that all she has done so far is to find jobs for her friends. Let me give you a couple of examples. Um, Remember, she goes away and get these things and come back here to us, right? Now, she has somebody called a chief of staff. Ah, that's just that's a big.
Mm-hmm.
She thinks she's Trump. She behaves like him, but
Mm-hmm.
then she has a director of citizen engagement, director of protocol, Jessica Odell. Then you have citizen, and all these are just big sounding things for doing nothing. And the prime minister, nobody will quarrel if the prime minister has a personal assistant and some other assistants run the place but she has more staff now than any prime minister. As a matter of fact, if you total the staff that all the prime ministers had, from Barra to Fernando Stewart, you total them, she has more than all them put together. This, I don't expect the cost of government to be cheap, right? But this is ridiculous because these play no role in government. These are just people who sit there and have nothing to do. Like, first of all, Jessica Odell was the hairdresser who's just trying to plot the prime minister here. What she's trying to do with it? She's to dress the prime minister, but she can hold the prime minister down long enough to get her to sit down and look good. So, and she probably get vexed, but she's trying to make her look good. So she changed her from that person at $8,500 a month to somebody called director of protocol at 12,500. You know, we already have a director of protocol in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. What more we want in Prime Minister's office now? How many? And that is the problem I have, right? I am not representing the GIS, but they are represented by NUPW. But that does not stop me from speaking about what is happening to them.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Prime Minister,
This
she
is
created this,
GIS, the Government Information
the
Service.
Government Information
I
Service. Yes,
saw.
thank you.
Let's just give the people a little background to what we're talking about here. I saw only last week that GIS, the workers there were very disgruntled about this new arm that the government is introducing. So there's some disquiet there. So can you explain that, Mr. Franklin? Thank you.
The JS is responsible for the PR of government.
Mm-hmm.
Each ministry would have assigned to it an officer from JS who would do the what people know got these corporate communication specialists doing, and the hospital got one, and this but the ministry have got one, and somebody got Joanne Haig and all that kind of stuff. Those people are already employed. So the prime minister had created a department of public affairs, you call it, and that department mirrored the work of the JS, except that the work by the JS was done by civil servants who are supposed to be impartial. The prime minister want
Mm-hmm.
yard votes, so she creates a department of public affairs,
Mm-hmm.
and assign the roles from JS to the people there. So you don't have an established government department at the JS, Government Information Service, and a temporary one that the Prime Minister create because the Minister responsible for public service can create posts.
Mm-hmm.
However, even if the Prime Minister can create posts in her and as the minister responsible for the public service, it doesn't just come because she wants to have a post. It goes through the civil service. The civil service assess if the posts are necessary, and then they will recommend to the prime minister, and the prime minister signs off.
Mm-hmm.
Not so this time. The prime minister didn't need any civil servants to do their job to determine if there was a need for this department in the public service. And she created this Department of Public Affairs. And she staffed it with, first director was Pat Paris. Pat Paris knows nothing about anything,
But Mr.
far less.
Franklin, that name, if I remember that name, Pat Paris, as soon as you said it, because that name, I've never met the person, but I would talk to that person when I was scheduling the prime minister to come to do the, well, she wasn't the prime minister then, but that person was working for her. I remember
Yes.
that name. And
In the opposition
yes,
office, she was the prime minister's, I think we call him executive assistant or something like that,
you see,
because
okay,
everybody
you
had
see,
one. So
you
when
see,
she
I
went
remember.
into government, she made her no, she made her a senator, and then she made her director of this public affairs initially. Now, first of all, as director of public affairs, she's a civil servant. A civil
Mhm.
servant can be a senator too. So she was also in the Senate. So I don't know, after a while, they realized, this look really bad. We can't really justify this. So they took her down, or probably because she didn't know what she's doing at their public affairs anyhow. And they made her the CEO of the Barbados Labour Party.
Mm,
But
mm,
the
mm,
other people in there were mostly people who campaigned for the Barbados Labour Party and spoke on their platforms. Then they got one young lady from CBC, who was a real journalist, or newsreader, I don't know exactly what she is. Lord, I think she's Lisa Lord. She had her there, and now what they're doing, they're filling up the staff with their people. Under
mhm,
the law right now, if you are a temporary officer or you're an established officer in public service, you must go through a process in accordance with the Public Service Act. The Prime Minister don't just say, I want X and it becomes X. I want Y and it becomes Y. There is a process where you go through the Ministry of Public Service. The Ministry of Public Service is supposed to conduct interviews. And when those interviews are done, they will submit the names and say, well, this is the person who get the job or not. And they will make that recommendation to the president or if the post is permanent or whatever. No, they create this post of yard fouls. And now, what they're doing with this department, they cannot justify having JS and public affairs. But the prime
mhm,
minister can't send home her yard fouls. Who will give them corn? So
mm,
she going merge public affairs with JS. There is no need for a merger because there was never any need for public affairs. Only a political
mm.
need, and that is not what the public service is set up to do. Not to do the bidding, the political biddings of a political party in power. That is not what the public service, and all of those people should have been paid by the Barbados Labour Party because they were doing the Barbados Labour Party's work to push the interests of their people. That is Barbados Labour Party. I have no difficulty if the Barbados Labour Party hire 1 million people and pay them out of their pockets. But what they
So,
are
so you're
doing,
you're saying you're saying, Mr. Franklin, that the all the other prime ministers, they use GIS, right? They use GIS to be able to communicate to the people of Barbados, and whatever else that they have to do in terms of media. However, this administration, this government created a new department. Is that what you're saying?
they create a new department and ostracize the civil servants in the government information service. Now, what they want to do now, and this is what the staff believes, because they have not spoken to me, they're not members of Unity, and I'm not out there speaking it for them. They already have their union, and their union already authorized industrial action with them and that kind of stuff. So I am not out there fighting for my members on this show tonight. I am
Yeah.
showing you the misbehavior, the bad behavior
Yes.
of this government. They do what they like. I see, for instance, the Minister of Education has somebody there talking. That should be an officer from the Government Information Service. When you're speaking, no, but that, no, they bring somebody and put them in there and give them money. Somebody from the JS is already being paid for that.
So, Mr. Franklin, the person, Gaynell Marshall, that the spokesperson, or I don't know the term, the title they've given her. Is she under the department or working for the Department of Public Affairs?
I don't know where she's working for because these people do all kinds of stuff, but she had no call in there because she is not from the GIS. So I don't know if the Ministry of Education decided they can pick her by themselves or the Ministry of or the Department of Public Affairs assign her there. I don't know which because these things don't come on the official gazette anymore. As a matter of fact, the they get rid of the government the official gazette. You cannot go anywhere and purchase a copy of the official gazette. You know, like how I have a, like for instance, I have a subscription to the Nation. I can
Mhm.
I can every morning when I get up at 3 o'clock every morning they post the thing and if I'm usually up and I would read the Nation. I can then go down the road if I choose and buy a Nation if I want to clip out stuff or whatever. Not so with the official gazette. I went to the printery and ordered and I went to collect stuff. You know, I'm gonna go to the printery and you buy things. You got acts and whatever else in the official gazette. I want to do some training for people who I want to bring along with me because I don't believe that I'll be here forever. And I'm trying to get people to be able to fill in the space when I am no longer able. So I want to train some people. So I go and I try to get some resource material, which would be acts, legislation, and stuff, because you can't teach people about the law and don't show them what the law is. And I
Mhm.
didn't want to just tell them what the law is, I wanted to show them what it is. And I go and ask about purchase, they don't have paper. So you can't print any. This is the government printer, you know. People 36 said the official gazette is available online. I know that. You ever try manipulating it and trying to get information from it? It is the most difficult thing to do, and it is hard, and most of the time it don't work. If I had a copy of the official gazette in my hand, I was willing to pay for. I can scroll it up, make notes on it, whatever else I can do. But you can't get one because they make sure that the people are not informed in Barbados. Yes, you can subscribe to the thing. I don't have to subscribe because I'm a former senator and we get a copy for life. But even with that copy for life, I it don't make no sense because it doesn't work when you want it to, and it's hard to
Mhm.
find the information. So if I decide I want a copy, a paper copy that I'm gonna pay for, I can put a few dollars
Right.
in the government's coffers. You can't get none because they are trying to keep the information and away, and then they will say, "Oh, it was published in the official gazette, so it's not our fault that you didn't see it." No, it's their fault you didn't see it because even online you can't access it. It don't work properly.
Mm.
Another
Yeah.
venture
Yeah.
that they started before they were ready, like the ID cards, and up to now, it just does not work. And the thing is, I am used every Monday for years getting a copy of the official gazette every Monday. Now all of a sudden, no, you can't get a copy. Yes, I have an official subscription, that kind of stuff. But subscribe to what? Many times you can't access it. Many times it's down. So when you want
Wow.
information, it's not there. Now, if I had gotten my subscription in paper, and it can't be down. Paper don't go down.
Right. You see, and all of that, when that happens, then it's almost like a suppression of information. It works so that way
It
because you
is.
can't get the information.
Because look, I used to be able to, whenever I know you see Adrian, he's there smiling. Again, the point made that he had to show me a night where the piece of legislation was actually put into force. Because normally I would get it in the official gazette. I didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And Adrian somehow was able then to come on. I thank him profusely for correcting me and to showing me where I was going wrong. But again, no gazette for me to actually have, because what I normally do when I get those things, I take them out of the gazette and keep those statutory instruments. They can't get them. You cannot
Mm-hmm.
get them.
Mm-hmm.
So even so, they're saying, yeah, because if a law is not published in the official gazette, it is not valid. So they publish it. They deem publishing online as publication in the official gazette,
Yes.
and as a result, you don't, even though you don't know, you're deemed to know when you can't find it. That something is utterly wrong with that. But so with this Department of Public Affairs, who knows? Because, and again, every salary in the public service is supposed to be published. The president's salary is published. I could go and pick up my documents and tell you how much money the most excellent damn Sandra Mason gets. I can tell you from her to the maid. Prime Minister, salary is published. Everybody down there. But she is bringing people into the public service and not publishing their salaries. Why? Because they are ridiculously high. And the thing is, public servants do them at a fraction of the cost of what she is paying her minions to do. So you can't publish them. If they're not published in the official gazette, when they have the salary orders and stuff, they're also published in, like, for instance, House of Assembly people, there's coming another order. Even the personal assistants, there's coming another order. Everybody, when Arthur first had personal assistants, they did it by resolution, and you put them in the official gazette. So everybody knew what we were getting. Now she brings people in like that, at her whim and fancy, because this place belongs to her. And she can do what she likes with our money. It's not hers. If she had hired 40 people and paying them out of her pocket, more power to her. But she's spending our money, and we should know how our money is spent. There's nothing wrong with wanting to know that, because you know about everybody else.
Yeah, Mr. Franklin, just a pause there because this thing about the official gazette, they're saying, oh, we're going to just put it online. We're not going to do any printing and so on. And this person, Pete Way, I have to tell you, moved to the front of the class because I was thinking the same thing. The person says the digitization reality in BIM. And this is a perfect example, Mr. Franklin, of what we are trying to say to the citizens of Barbados, and what not just we, what many citizens are saying, that we're not ready for this kind of digitization, the kind that is outlined in the BIMA, the Barbados Identity Management Act. We are not ready for that type of digitization where we're pinning ID cards and getting all of everything is now online, because not even the official gazette we're able to access properly. It's not user friendly, as Mr. Franklin is saying. He can't use it properly. Somebody said that it's not even updated. You see what I mean, Mr. Franklin?
I suffer through it. I suffer through it on a regular basis, because I try when I am making presentations, like even when I have to do cases or anything like that, I make sure my I's are dotted and my T's are crossed. So I go back for the gazettes to make sure that I'm right. Because many times they pass laws, they don't put the laws anywhere, they don't update the laws anywhere. So sometimes even in the courts, people are in courts pleading cases and don't even know that the law has been changed. And a lot of the revenue laws, the lawyers will argue things, and next thing you know here, well, not an amendment to that. It is so bad that they don't even follow up and keep their amendments in place. They made the same amendments to the Employment Rights Act twice. Yeah, they amended it, and like they forgot that it was amended, and then amended it again using the same words. But they amended it twice because they don't keep up to date. They don't have anything properly done. Because the easiest thing to do is when you make an amendment to the act. The act says delete section 4 and substitute whatever they got here. So all you have to do is to put that in there, up, and then the act is reading properly.
See,
But
we can't.
nobody does that. Nobody does that. And we are trying to become first world when we are a third world banana republic.
Yeah, Mr. Franklin. One of the things, there is a show on Netflix, and it's called I think it's the making of a dictator. I can't remember if that's the exact name, but one of the things that one of the first things that they do, Mr. Franklin, one of the first things that they do is they control communication. And this Department of Public Affairs being filled with all the yard fouls in there, because I know some of them, they were online, and they used to be on Facebook, pushing, and now then I realized that they were working in that department. So this is just like Squealer then when in Animal Farm, right? Right? Anytime you see dictatorships when they're set up, and listen carefully, people, communication is important. So it was not enough that, what, they sit on top of CBC and you can't get anything. I mean, most of the things that we do, CBC don't even come out to any press conference. They do nothing because they're there, they support the government. That's what happens, right? But no, they went ahead and put a whole department of public affairs and now want to merge it with GIS. So some of those workers, what are they going to do? Their jobs are going to be all, everything squished up into one. Will some of them lose their jobs, Mr. Caswell?
We don't know yet, but what we know is that if you have two departments that both got heads, one head gotta go. You can't. No, you don't have two heads. You can get two deputies, but you don't have two heads.
Two
And
heads.
so what will happen? Let's say now you have, but these officers in there. When they transfer these people over and merge them, who will be senior? Who will get the senior positions? The new kids on the block, because they're political people that
Mm-hmm.
have never been vetted by the Ministry of Public Service to see if they're fit for the job. Because
Yeah.
the Prime Minister only has say legally in the appointment of permanent secretaries and deputy permanent secretaries, departments and heads of departments and their deputies. That is the only time she has any not say into who should be to fill these posts. Mind you, she is supposed to be consulted by the commission, because the commissions are the ones who we have the Administrative General Professional Service Commission, which is with the normal civil servants. Then you have the Protective Services Commission, police, immigration, fire, prisons, and then we have the Judicial and Legal Service Commission. They deal with anybody who require legal qualifications to do their jobs. So you got the registrars, the courts, and that kind of stuff.
Mm.
The lawyers, the solicitor generals, chambers, that kind of thing. They deal with them. The problem comes here. The law, the Constitution, was amended in '75 to give the Prime Minister the right to be consulted. This Prime Minister and all others, except for the very first Prime Minister who changed the law, Barrow, and I can explain why he changed it.
Someone is saying that the volume on YouTube is dropping out. Actually, let me just say that Dr. Ferdinand wanted to be on tonight, and he's not been able to. He has quite a bit of things going on, so he's watching, and he's saying that the volume on YouTube is dropping out periodically. Can someone check and let me? Those watching on YouTube, are you having a trouble with the volume? Anybody on YouTube? Just let us know. Yes, continue. Continue, Mr.
Right?
Franklin.
So I was saying, so the Prime Minister has the right to be consulted. The Commission should consult. But what happens in Barbados is that the Prime Minister decides. So she decides who will be Permanent Secretary, who will be head of the department. And over the years, people have accepted to believe that that is the law. Trinidad had a similar provision in their constitution where the Prime Minister was supposed to be consulted by the Commission to deal with the heads of departments and the stuff. And the Commission consulted with Patrick Manning, who was then Prime Minister, and on the appointment of a permanent secretary. The Prime Minister recommended a particular person, and the Commission said to him, well, that is your person, but it's not ours. And they appointed somebody else against the Prime
Right.
Minister's wishes.
And this is in Trinidad.
This is in Trinidad. And Patrick Manning got angry and put the Public Service Commission before the court. And when the case was finished, the court said, the law says that you must be consulted. You were consulted. And that was it. He
Mm-hmm.
was consulted. Consultation does not mean that you make the decision. Here in Barbados, consultation means that the Prime Minister makes the decision. So that is why we have a lot of permanent secretaries and heads of departments, deputy permanent secretaries and stuff, who are not fit for purpose. Unless their purpose is to keep the Prime Minister in power and to do her bidding, they're not fit for purpose. There are several of them. I don't want to call any names. I don't want to embarrass anybody tonight. And I can even give examples of some of them don't even know the rules under which they work. Because I was talking to the permanent secretary, then I was arguing with him, and he's telling me, but where you get that foolishness from? So I pull out the document, and I say, look at here. He didn't know. You bring people in, they ain't got a clue what they're supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame them because I've been doing this for too long, so I know most of the rules, and
Mm-hmm.
they're new. But because they get the job not by competitive selection, because if you are applying for jobs in the public service, and especially at the senior levels, they require you to know the general orders, public service regulations, the constitution, all the laws that relate to public. No. But when you have the Prime Minister making decisions, all you got to know is that person is somebody that she likes.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I can give an example why I always oppose to this. Harcourt Lewis was a permanent secretary under Barrow, but he was also a very staunch member of the Democratic Labour Party. At one stage, he was even the treasurer of the Democratic Labour Party, but he was a permanent secretary. Government change. And Harcourt Lewis continued to do his job as permanent secretary. And he advised Tom Adams to the best of his ability. As a
Mm-hmm.
matter of fact, Harcourt told me he had to resign from the public service because Tom Adams was going to kill him at work. And everything he wants to do, he put it in Harcourt. So, but Harcourt Lewis was doing his job what a permanent secretary should be doing. If the prime minister, if he think the prime minister was wrong, he lay no. If he and he would follow the prime minister's instructions and do the best job possible. But he was
Yeah.
a professional permanent secretary. He wasn't there because Barron liked him and made him permanent secretary. He was there because he was capable of being a permanent secretary. And Barron wanted people around him that was competent. Now we have permanent secretaries that ain't got a clue. But the prime minister determined, I tell you, look, Harcourt tell me he had to resign from public service early, retire early, or not Tom Mans with a kill he would work. Mind you, this was the them, you know. He was the them. And if you remember correctly, after the government changed again, the Dems made him a minister in government because he was knowledgeable. But we don't have that type of people now. Something that you said earlier, and I wrote a note. You said, well, it's show on Netflix. Um,
Right. The
and
show is. Go ahead.
no, you said the way to is the first thing is to control communications.
Yeah, so I made the wrong the right name on of that show is how to become a tyrant. The making
Right?
of a tyrant, not a
Megan Tyrant?
dictator. The making of a
Well,
tyrant.
well, from day one, Martin like she wrote that show because one of the first things that she did when she came into office is to put Charlie Jung, their campaign strategist, as director of communications in the public. So that's a public service post. And the
Is it
prime
a
minister put him in there.
Chinese? It's an
Chinese looking
Asian?
fella. Mm-mm.
It's a Chinese looking fellow.
Yeah.
Yes, and I've heard, yeah, very interesting. We need to look into that a bit more because,
But
yeah,
not
go
only
ahead.
that, the job of director of communications, I think, was lower than where she want to put it. And she raised the money. That money got to be, you can't do that. But she did it. She gave him a job because, if you remember correctly, the last director of communications in Barbados side was Peter Simmons before he became High Commissioner to London, right? So he was a civil servant. And then when Prime Minister came in to control the communication, she brought in her own communication specialist and put him on top and give him a higher salary than the PS. So this is not something that is just happened. This is in the making. So she's controlling the narrative to make sure that all roads lead to Motley.
Yeah,
You cannot get a
yeah,
job
yeah,
now in cleaning old people homes unless a minister sign off on it.
yeah,
One time you go to the National Assistance Board, you make the application, and the people will give you a job
yeah,
if they have space for you. Now, when you go there, the people they tell you go and get a letter from your MP. It gets that bad. Go get a letter from your minister.
but Mr. Franklin, I see Kimar is here. Good night, Kimar. Someone sent this to me here, from saying that this came for concerning Trinidad, and this was is a media release from the office of the Prime Minister of Trinidad, Kimar and Mr. Franklin. And it says here, attention, head of news and editor in chief media release. Prime Minister Rowley travels to Washington, D.C. today. And this letter goes on to tell you, it's not just that he's traveling, they tell you who the delegation is. So I want to know, I know I used to hear it would come on the news because, that Prime Minister Stewart or when our Prime Minister Arthur would not be in the country and so on. Do we hear that from this Prime Minister And I want, I know I'm asking the panel, but I want the, I just would love for the almost 600 of us watching tonight to tell the truth. When last did you hear that? It no longer happens. Well, that's Barbados, Mark. It no longer happens. But this came out from Trinidad the 28th of January, 2024, today. And so when we come on here and as citizens, we are making these observations. It is not that we're against a particular person. It is because what is being done is wrong. That's what we're saying. And without an opposition to say it, we have to say it. Good night, Mr. Stewart. How are you?
Good night to you, Marcia. Good night, Caswell.
Good night.
Uh, Happy to see you feeling all
Well, it's good
chubed up.
seeing you
And
too. Good seeing you too.
yes, yes. And good night to the members of the loyal opposition. Good night, everyone on the Marcia Week show. I am always happy to be here.
Yes,
Um, so
Ma,
yes,
this person. But let me just say something. I'm deliberately saying here, saying that what I just said did not happen on the street, but that's not true, Mark. I remember hearing when the Prime Minister Stewart was leaving Barbados. That is not true, and this is the kind of thing that happens all the time, right? We have to be able to speak the truth, regardless of the color that we line up behind. So
Now,
let's speak
let me
truthfully.
tell you something. I remember the Prime Minister came into Barbados, did a press conference, and left. Santia was acting Prime Minister. Some of the Prime Minister came in and at that press conference, she takes back over as Prime Minister. She left again and forget to swear in Santia. I quarreled about it. So just because every time some person leaves their office as minister, prime minister, or step, whatever, and you're going to have a replacement, there's a swearing in. I wrote about it too, and they complained about it bitterly. Santia was not sworn in. I remember, and I because that is recorded by the clerk of parliament. I went to the clerk. I said, "When was Santia sworn in?" I was in Senate then. She wasn't sworn in. So we were without a prime minister, or at least a legal prime minister at that time. She just leaves Barbados. She is not a private citizen anymore. Private citizen may Motley could leave and come and she's not gonna tell them about anything, but she's the prime minister. And as prime minister, we must know. But these people do what they like.
Yeah. Kimar, good night, sir. You came right into the heat, into all of what is happening, and I just wanted you to can you make a brief comment on this particular thing that we're talking about here, about the Prime Minister Rowley only today was able to put in the sent to the newspaper that he was leaving the country and was able to name his delegation, outline exactly what he's traveling, why he's traveling, etc., etc. When was the last time you heard your prime minister here tell us that why that she's leaving and why she's leaving and who's in her delegation?
well, unfortunately, I never saw. Um, I never saw it. But I mean, if it was published, I apologize that I didn't see it. But my friends saw it. None of you guys saw it. None of my colleagues saw it. Uh, Body that I know saw it. Um, but I have some queries. I don't mind a leader traveling to go there and get bilateral relations going. Visit other countries, try to gain investment, try to also sell
Yeah.
Barbados to the um and fostering links with Barbados that could help develop the island in whatever sphere. I accept that as the reason for travel. However, no. when we look at the tangible results, particularly the traveling, um, we are not seeing that. When what we get really is that Barbados is increasing its debt levels most of the time. Most of the announcements made by the Prime Minister when she travels are topics that not even related to Barbados. She speaking about Russia and Ukraine and um involving herself in Guyana and CARICOM. So hardly ever was the Prime Minister addressing issues tackling local Barbadians, other than during COVID when we had that very dictatorial period during the state of emergency,
But she can't fly. That's why
right?
the airlines were grounded. Remember, so that was, she had to stop here.
Right.
That must have been the worst time of her life.
So what I'm saying is that I can't see the investment to match coming into Barbados to the America travel. I can see the tangible benefit in terms of global opportunities for Barbadians on a global landscape. Um, yes, we know the Prime Minister is the climate champion of the world or whatever, being featured in international media and stuff. But we don't see, we see, well, we saw the IMF director come down here. We saw the General Secretary or the Secretary General of the United Nations come down here. We saw the head of the World Health Organization come down here. Um, and we saw some very high profile people, bureaucrats, coming to Barbados. But they even took tours of Chapman Lane and some areas in the city to see what the living standards were like. Remember, a lot of them came here to help roll out the food program. But when you look again at, there were no increases in the betterment of transportation, no increases in the betterment of health. The tourism market is still plundering the same local central bank bonds that they're putting on the market, not raising the amount of money, all of the boss programs failing, right? But still, the Prime Minister leaves the country to go up there to fight on behalf of other countries as it relates to climate, right? But the issues of Barbadians, I never heard the Prime Minister took an issue. He says this jobby water thing, right? Because the jobby water thing is the only problem that Barbadians were facing that the Prime Minister took to an international level, right? A lot what she did when she got there, she begged for money to put sewage in our water, right? So why are you traveling all the way? Why are you going to these people, right? She went to the people, and I said, in one instance where I saw that she took a local problem to the international world for a solution, and that
Mhm.
solution is to put jobby water for us to drink, right? But Caswell, you could tell me, Marcia, you could tell me, look around. Was there any other issue facing Barbados that the Prime Minister took to a global level?
No, I can't. I mean, the thing is, most of the times, I mean, I've seen her stood up and she was speaking to the people of France and telling them how great their leader was. Remember when they were booing her in France?
Yeah.
I mean, she just leaves and she went there to embarrass herself. When there are so many issues that we have here, and to those people who some people are saying we could go on to some other issues, which I really want to go on to some other issues, to be honest. But Vihoy asked some important questions, and these are like, this is so important what she's asking. She's actually somebody in the diaspora, and she's asking how much money the PM spends on travel. We don't know. We don't know. Does she have a budget? We don't know. Do we know where she's going? We don't know. That's it. The PM of Trinidad, 45 minutes from Barbados, right across the waters. Today self, as we would say in Barbados. sent out a memo that went to all of the media houses and is floating on WhatsApp of where he's going and his delegations and who's in his delegation. End of it. 622 of us on here. We are smart enough. Stop following party. It is wrong. And the reason we are on it is that it lacks transparency. There is a problem here. This prime minister is off the hinge. This prime minister gets up and does what she wants to do, is what we're trying to say. That is it. And the Barbadians are opening up your eyes and realizing, no, we are holding you accountable, ma'am. We put you there. So that's what this discussion is about, right? And I know somebody's asking if the PM was booed in Paris. Yes, she was booed in Paris, in France. I don't know if it was Paris, but she was booed
Yeah,
in
she was born
France.
in Paris.
It was
I watched it.
Paris.
I watched
Okay.
the video
Yeah,
because she
she
was trying to
doesn't
big up. She was
support.
trying to big up Macron, who is now very hated in France, and she was saying that he was one of the people, and I criticized it then too because she was saying that the G8 or whatever country, he was the only body who was looking out for the small island developing states and stuff. You don't do that in an international forum because what you're doing, if you big up one of those leaders and saying that the rest, that means you push it on the others. So the
Yeah,
the other countries not only gonna feel good that she's saying that Macron is the best. She's not even diplomatic. I think Maxine needs to teach her a little bit about diplomacy. You know,
yeah,
she doesn't have a diplomatic bone in her body.
yeah. Bihoy is saying something here, and um, what we want to do is to segue into the public health system because, Kimar, I want to bring this to your attention. I'm sure you would have seen it already, but it's the cancer. Cancer patients in Barbados at the moment are at a serious disadvantage um, because there is a particular equipment. Thanks for putting that up. There's a particular the nation calls it a cancer cry, and I want to commend the nation, Himar, for really putting these things out. And there is a particular her name is this wasn't by her, Maria. Can't remember her last name right now.
Bradshaw,
Maria
Bradshaw.
Bradshaw. That's a real reporter. That woman you see there, she's the real deal. She needs to get an award. But the nation is picking up on the cry of the people, and there is a cry for cancer patients. And I'm trying to find the article that was sent to me. I think it was over 100 cancer patients who could not get treatment. They needed okay, it's coming up here. They needed a particular treatment, a particular machine, radiotherapy machine, right? They needed a radiotherapy machine. The radiotherapy therapy machine at the QEH is out of operation for several months. Close to 100 cancer patients are on a waiting list to get the life saving procedure done in other countries. Now, we know that it is alleged that there are people within the administration who are very sick and they can afford, to fly out and get it done because it can't be done here. And for those people who are not well, we wish them all the best and we pray for good health. Both all the cancer patients, including those that are in the administration, and they don't have to suffer these kinds of issues. But they are trying to. What about those who can't go overseas? What about those people? Right? Reliable sources reported that it broke down almost a year ago, and technicians at QH were finding it difficult to source parts of the machine because it was obsolete. So my question to you, Kimar, with all of the various infrastructures, and even the monument. That monument cost 3 million Barbados dollars. I went online and researched the cost of a radiotherapy machine for hospitals. Just one little search, and it came up to 3 million US dollars. Okay, 3 million US dollars. But we spend half of that on concrete and iron out there where Nelson was. What are your thoughts when you hear of something like this, Kimar? What comes to mind? What comes to mind?
Well, that shows where the government's priorities are in terms of their care for people over serving themselves and serving their colleagues and comrades. Um, if they wanted to buy a new machine, the garbage and sewage tax was made $80 million a month. And Minister no put waterworks under her office ministries, right? So they could have easily took the $6 million from the garbage and sewage tax and paid for many of them if they wanted to, because that means 80 million a month. So they could have missed 6 million. Remember, millions of dollars are being taken from the garbage and sewage tax. So right now, the actual Barbados Water Authority, and they're missing it. So on solution that we put on the table to buy one of the machines. The health budget was increased massively from the time of Jeffrey Bostic, and when the pandemic hit, the Ministry of Health got so much money, so much increases in budget during that time. So they could have bought machines, right? They built the point, rebuilt Harrison's Point. They rebuilt the A&E, right? And they put significant investment in health, some minor repairs to the hospital, right? So the brand new CEO, right? So the hospital and the Ministry of Health was not short of any money whatsoever that they could have reinvested in this, right? I think Rihanna donated a piece of equipment to the hospital. What is the status of the equipment that she donated? It broken down, right? There are many organizations out there that do philanthropy that they could have raised $6 million, right? They claim to be associated with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We see the Prime Minister out there with all the big billionaires in the world, the European Union, F, right? So a life saving device like this, $6 million is nothing for the government makes that. Look at how much
Exactly.
money they made in the road tax at the pump, tax at the pump. The amount of millions they made, right? So I'm just saying they got the money, spending it on largies, doing corrupt things. So no excuse. I do think that they could have either fixed the machine or buy a new one.
Yeah. Well, they said the parts are obsolete. I mean, most when you do a research, Mr. Franklin, on this machine, they said most hospitals have several. Okay, so for the fact what I'm saying is it's about priorities. It seemed to me, because if most hospitals, Mr. Franklin, when you do a research on this, have more than one, and we could find just 3 million just to put on concrete and iron, and then we do another thing here, and we just keep spending money like that. Do you think, in your estimation, we are making health a priority in this country?
I don't think so. Obvious from that pandemic thing, we ain't thinking so, because if they were thinking so, they would have sat down and waited until the results of these experiments came back before they used them on us. So they're not a priority. We are doing what the people in the national community want, and then anything that's after that. But before I go any further, the hospice cancer patients were in crisis much longer than a year, because I had a friend who needed cancer treatment when the machine was working,
Mm-hmm.
but he had to send to Trinidad to get the chemicals. So because there's some chemicals you use, I don't know the medical thing, You just don't want to take people and burn them up with the X-ray. You use some kind of chemicals, and they don't have them in Barbados. So we are not providing for this country where all this money that Key Marble was talking about just now. Where's all that money going? And the thing is, we heard how much money came in, how much people donated money, how much all these people, but we have not had an accounting for that money yet either, you know. And with government money, you must account for it. You just can't spend it willy nilly. The Auditor General should look into things like that rather than every little mistake of senior clerk make or executive officer make in the ministry. He got in his reports every year. Right, but what the prime minister and them doing? God, I don't see that in his reports. I don't see it because he should be asking about this money. The money was collected on behalf of the government, and he is supposed to investigate all government expenditure. So the money was spent and it came in. But who's to say that the people give us $50 and we spend $35.10?
You
Or
know,
somebody says loyal $60. Caswell, some patients could not get the medication either. I had to send to Trinidad to get the medication for my husband. People think I make these things up, you know.
exactly. I saw that. That's why I put it up. And this is what I'm saying. I'm saying, Mr. Franklin, this hurts. It hurts. And that's why I will never take up my time, Mr. Franklin and Kimar, and go and waste my time and look at that monument. Honestly, I'm a very artistic person and I love creativity. And I'm one of those who felt that Nelson need to come down. But my goodness, with all of the suffering in this country, is that where we need to put all of that money and make and then spend millions of dollars to introduce it to Barbados? What's the word? What I mean, where they announced it and did all of that, fanfare out there. And when you think of people not having this, just type in this on this equipment. Most hospitals have several. We have to go to Trinidad for things, for medication, and we claim that we are first world.
Yeah. Marcia, the
Yes.
somebody on the live mentioned about the health levy that the government put in place to tax us. In the
Ah,
right. So they put a health levy on paid to NAS, right? And out to no boy knows how much money that's made either, because it doesn't pass through the consolidated fund, but the hospital still receives it, or allegedly. Right? So we need to account also for the health levy because the hospital has gotten substantially worse. And that investment, the reason they say they put that health levy on was to improve services at the hospital and equipment and stuff. But this is a clear example that, again, money missing, money not being spent properly, and equipment like this. But that's lying there.
yeah,
While you were talking
yeah.
about the equipment and you put that monstrosity down in Hero Square, $3 million, and they couldn't even spare $100 out of that to buy two locks to put on the West Wing door so that the Jamaican gonna get bar closed. So what you're telling me at all? Where this money
Yeah,
going? I don't know. I don't
yeah,
understand the priorities of this government. The priorities of this government has nothing to do with the best interests of the people of this country. I do not
yeah,
know, and I should know, because when government spends money, they're supposed to declare it. First of all, when government is seeking money, they they go to the house for it. They put it in a supplementary or on the original estimates, but they're always used to hide their money. Like I tell people before, that the major unions get money from the government every year, but you will not see it anywhere in the estimates.
yeah, yeah.
All
This
right?
has been go ahead. I was saying that this has been a problem for so long. You go into office. I'm expecting that this would be something you would be sensitive to. Is what I'm trying to say. I thought that you would be sensitive to it. The hospital is when your health services are down. When you can't when you don't have sheets for the beds. When people are waiting 4 days, you don't have basic medication. Something is wrong, and it tells us that this government has failed. We're in a failed this society. They have failed the society, is what this is saying, regardless of who. And somebody's saying that it was since 2009. Regardless of the government, you have failed the people. You have failed, and you came in and you had so much money. And Kimar told us on the show that this government collected more taxes. Kimar, correct me if I'm wrong, more than any other governments. Is that what you said? Is that what your
That's a fact.
research showed you?
That's correct. The highest levels of tax revenues ever history of any government we've had.
But when you have so many more departments of public affairs, so many different consultants, more the directors of this, directors of that, that don't really pass through the system, the money is being spent on them. You don't know how much because I only hear about even they're paying money to people like Mighty Gabby for what? Writing on Facebook where they come to defend me. Why is she being paid $8,000 a month? And that's the law. That's the and you should feel insulted because $8,000 is the low level for the people that she pays money to. The people like bombs get 8,000. Even the murderers, they were getting $8,000 to start from killing. Remember them? Don't forget. They're taking government money and spending it willy nilly on their friends and their cohorts because those people they continue to say that they knew who they were when the commissioner of police are looking for them and they want the crime rate come down. So they're just going to tell the people, like, okay, there, man, you're making me look bad. Stop killing people and we can give you $8,000 a month. And the crime rate went down. So, so they know the money is going out. But we don't know where it's going because in the public service, you can look and see permanent secretary got this amount, you got this for traveling, you get this for thing, this is entertainment allowance, and this is all specified in some document or in two documents. These people, like the hairdresser, or who used to get 8,500 to make the permission look good, mind you, she failed at that, and then since she couldn't get the permission to sit down quiet to get her hair black, she changed her out to direct a protocol. You got one of them already, but if you're gonna name a post, you should name the salary.
Yes.
And people see where this money is going. The money is going through the chute fast.
And people are thinking, and I'm telling you, Barbadians, I'm sorry to say that we're going to be so sorry that if we don't stand up in this time and ask for accountability. And although we've left that point, somebody just sent me an example of Prime Minister Stewart, and we're not here pushing DLP government or whatever, because someone said that it wasn't being done under the other administration. Someone just sent me something that is showing you in the even the newspaper where the few times when Brandon Stewart traveled that we knew that he was leaving the country. As you know, he wasn't a traveler. He wasn't on airplanes every day like Miss Motley. But we were told, and I can remember that, honesty, and all we have to do is just be honest, and then ask. We need as citizens to ask for that. But I'm gonna leave that alone. And I believe someone said, Mr. Franklin and Kimar, that the next thing that we need to research and do a press conference on is the healthcare system. And I think that that's a fair one, because when your health services are down, it is when you can't service your people, when they are waiting this long at the before they could see a doctor at the hospital, no sheets on the hospital bed, no hospital beds. All these things. It's a telling sign about the state of that country. That government has failed the people. They have failed the people. It's what it is, and we need to stand up and to say that. I look it's not in the newspaper, but this is all over Facebook. People were comparing. I don't know if you saw that as well, Mr. Franklin. People were comparing their water bill and their sewage bill, and I know this is something HEMA is going to jump all over. And they noticed that their bill, that the
Have
rate
a
I was
slight
supposed to,
increase.
yes, well, that there's a slight increase in the bill. So uh, let me just try and find that. And I thank the person, he knows himself, who brought it to my attention. And there is also an organization on Facebook that brought it to my attention, and I can't remember their name now, but I'm going to look for their name and make sure I give them a shout out. Somebody wrote, "Good morning to all. Please take a look at your water bill. 25 cents on the sewage and 125 cents on garbage collection." Right? They're saying that their bill has increased, water bill by 25 cents and their sewage bill by $1.25. Mr. Franklin, any thoughts on that? And of course, we're talking about this high reeking of taxes, revenues. And here we go again, the water bill increasing, and not a soul don't tell us anything. Anybody heard anything? Mr. Franklin, what are your thoughts?
I didn't see it. Somebody sent it to me, and I was still about the place. Not the best of help, so I didn't do a lot of checking. And as a matter of fact, I don't usually check my bills. I go to Shopee and I ask them, "This is my Shopee account number. How much money I got for you?" But I gotta do some more checking now because I'll tell you something. I told you about this already on this show. The Light and Power had charged me money overpaid for several months, several bills. So much so that about 3 months then that I was overpaying by 3 months. So I got urge people to check that thing. They got the how much the water and sewage contribution used to be. I don't even remember. Cause I just opened my bill. Now you're asking me. Now you're telling me. I just reach up and take out the bill, and I can't remember how much it was. So I can't really help. Cause I got the current storage contribution is 775, and the the garbage contribution is 38.75. 775 and 38.
Okay, somebody here is saying, telling us something though. Okay, this makes sense. Mr. Franklin and Timar says the garbage and sewage levy are calculated by the number of days in the month and are not fixed. Wow, the bills are
No,
correct. There was
it was
no increase.
$45 a month. That is what they said.
No, right. The garbage and sewage tax levy is charged per day, right?
Hmm.
Um, I'm looking for the correct thing to give you in terms of the correct calculation.
Okay,
But
so the
it's
garbage. So
charged per
okay,
day,
so that's why he says it depends on the number of days in the month, because
right?
the garbage and sewage levy are calculated per day, as Kimar is reading.
Right.
And what are you
So,
reading from, Kimar?
alternate views,
Alternative views.
mhm, right? But it's charged per day. So you have 30-day months, and then you have 31-day months. So
Mhm,
December is a 31-day month, and January is also a 31-day month,
mhm.
right? So if you see a add-on like for an extra day, that is probably why that can happen. Right.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
if it goes over that, no, then the government increase the garbage and sewage levy and they not say anything. So the persons looking at their bills will have. determine if extra charge is placed on the 30-day months, then compare that to the 31-day months, and then we'll be able to get a proper answer.
Yeah. What about the water? What about the water? Is the water fixed? So the garbage and sewage levy, for those who we were concerned about your bill, it fluctuates, it varies based on the number of days in the month. Thank you, Ricky Straker, and thank you, Kimar. But
It
the
was
water,
supposed to,
what about the water?
it was a total of 150 a day for the totem, which gave you $45 per month. This month is 46.50.
So is we probably can do a little. Are we sure on that, or we need to research the water a little bit more?
For $45 a month is equal to 30 days. Right? So if you go 31 days, then you might get 46.50. Right? If you go over if you go over 46.50, that means you're going 32 days. You
Hmm.
don't that you know that's not real. So if it goes past that, then you would carry it. But it's only an extra 150, so it means that it's an extra day in
Ah,
charge. But the $45 equates to 30 day span.
30 days. 30 days. Okay. Okay, because people are concerned, and the reason, Mr. Frank, somebody said it's just a little 25 cents and a dollar 50, because things are so hard for Barbadians. So they are watching every little, every penny, every cent, every dollar counts, every dollar 25 counts, everything adds up, and then when I think too, the other thing that matters to people is the kind of service that they're getting. So the garbage, when you think about it, the garbage piles up. Where our school is, sometimes we have to literally call the garbage truck to come to collect the garbage. If they don't come until it piles up, and this is such a beautiful neighborhood that we are in, but they don't come until flies start to come down on the garbage. These nice,
But
pretty homes.
but
Uh-huh.
Marcia, the challenge that you're explaining, let's go back to the garbage and sewage tax, right? And what it was supposed to be for. Now the levy was supposed to give the 25 cents to the 150 was supposed to be going to the sanitation for garbage collection, right? Sorry. It says here households are required to pay care of $1.50 per day, with $1.25 going to the SSDA for garbage collection, and 25 cents being retained by the Barbados Water Authority. Right? So the sanitation has been complaining that Barbados Water Authority has not been paying over and 25 cents over to them, right? And it has been discussed at NUPW meetings between the workers, because the workers were lobbying the leadership for increasing benefits. And the reason that the union leadership gave to those workers was that Water Authority was not paying over the sanitation component of the garbage and sewage tax to them. Upwards to today, we do not know if they ever paid over any money, how much, any, no report, because you cannot see it. There's no document, you can't reference it, you can't look at it, nothing. But as far as I know, they have not paid over that money, and you can see the situation because the garbage it's getting worse, as you were saying.
Look, I well remember when they first introduced this in the Senate. I I rose and I said the Barbados Authority does not have the right to collect taxes, collect government money. It is not a tax collection agency. So they had to go back and amend the bill to change it so that the Water Authority can collect money. because they wanted to hide this money. It was all because money, especially in the budget, every cent that is raised in the budget must go to the consolidated fund, or it is not a tax. It must go to the consolidated fund. I didn't want to put in the consolidated fund because they knew what they wanted to do with the money. Because all you have to do then is to pay over. All the minister has to do is to sign a warrant for the money and to the treasury, and the treasury pay over. No, but they wanted to make sure. And now we have the water authority keeping it for themselves and doing what they like. And you're still getting this rainbow colored water. One pirates getting brown, the other pirates getting blue, the other pirates getting all kind of fancy rust colors and all kind of stuff. And they are not doing anything, well, not anything that we can see with all the money that they're raking in, that they shouldn't have raked in. But government knows because when statutory boards have money, the ministers will say, "Oh, chairman, I want you pay for so and so." Chairman don't say no because if chairman said no, he chairman no more, and that's what happens. When the money goes into the treasury, you have to have a resolution from Parliament that empowers the minister to pay to whoever. So what this does is called the estimates. The estimates would say this is so much money they're allowed to have, and if for some reason they run out of money, they go back for supplementary. Statutory boards, they they're not as the supplementaries and things. Statutory boards, where you do the money come in, you're taking shift from one place to the next. Statutory boards are designed not to be efficient, but to get themselves around financial rules, so that the ministers can get up on the money because ministers can't spend a cent in public service in the jar service, as a permanent secretary level. And you can't call the permanent secretary and say, call the treasury and tell them I want some money. So they do that to the statutory boards. Statutory boards, you put the money in statutory boards, and then the ministers get a hand on that money through the chairman, through their minions on the boards. Because most boards in Barbados do not have competent board members dealing with the subject that they are supposed to be running. You just get a fellow who campaign for you, so you put him on the board. It doesn't necessarily mean that he has the skills, but they don't need skills because the minister can dictate what they want and tell the chairman. So I feel most of these statutory boards should be abolished and put their operations back in central government, because central government, they're talking about the rules just hamstring them and they don't move fast enough. No, if the rules are causing problem, change the rules. The rules were not written in stone. And I keep telling people when there were rules that were written in stone, Moses break them up and they had to get another set. So, yes, you remember that? So, even when they're written in stone, you can still change them. So, the excuses for statutory boards, it is just merely an excuse. You need to have accountability for that money, and you're not getting it because government always, the ministers always trying to find a way to get their hands spending money, and nobody will lock them up. So much so they could go out there and even get money from the private sector people, $7,500 a pop, and
Yeah.
nobody does anything about it.
But Castle, you know that this garbage and storage tax is an illegal tax. This tax
And
has been illegally collected in Barbados, and the government ought to refund Barbadians everywhere saying a collection of this tax because it was never legal. Right? Show you how you change the rules to say that it goes directly to Barbados Water Authority, and then from the Water Authority straight over to sanitation. No parliamentary overview, no committee overview, and the general manager admitted in the newspaper he has been taking up the garbage and sewage tax and spending it on BWA operations.
but
And
I can tell you, I mean, no, with that admission, he should be. Dodge knocking to get in. No, serious. That's an offense. That's misappropriation of public money. That's what it is, you know.
Hmm.
He should be making his right now. That act is an application for Dodge,
Hmm.
and nobody didn't accept me. They wouldn't accept the invitation to take you in. They should have taken you in. He applied, but God knows whose bidding he is doing when he did that. So you know they get protected. Public servants who break the rules get protected until such time, and when they can't protect them any longer, he's gonna let them go, and then they would get them a job somewhere else when things clear. But
Yeah,
something
yeah.
is wrong.
It's definitely wrong with the amount of taxes being collected. Um, we're gonna move on to another topic, but Miss
But
before
before
Miss
we do, let me hear it from the horse's mouth or close enough to the horse. I asked Maxine when the prime minister was leaving the country, when she was in cabinet, she was in two people cabinet. If we didn't see um, notices coming out from the official, from the GIS, telling you that the prime minister is traveling and who can act.
welcome Miss McLean. Let's welcome her properly. Good evening, Miss McLean. It's a pleasure
Hi.
to have you on, and you can see everybody is welcoming you this
Thanks.
evening. Yes. And so the question is yours.
All right, thanks. I will answer the question. Two things. One, yes, because there was a routine practice of issuing the government information service with information on travel, and that information typically covered the name of the person or persons traveling. In the case of the prime minister, he normally would travel with a delegation, which might include myself or another minister, depending on what it is, and then the other public officers. It would tell you where he was going, for what purpose, for how long, and who would have been acting prime minister. As somebody who I would say that I did most traveling in in the cabinet more than other ministers generally. The other person who might have come close to that might have been the minister of tourism. But as you can appreciate, I was in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade by myself, and therefore I traveled on matters relating to foreign affairs and foreign trade, World Trade Organization, things related to UN, to our bilateral, and so on. And so that was a normal practice. I was listening, having my dinner as the person was challenging you. And it is unfortunate. Sorry, I know you want to move on. It's unfortunate when people try to question what is factual. You're not doing it to, you're basically saying, look, there's a convention, a tradition and that didn't apply to the 10 years that the Labour Party was in office. It happened prior to that as well. You would have heard of other delegations traveling and so on. What is interesting now is that you have an administration which came into office on a promise to be transparent and to communicate. In addition to that, every ministry is or as far as I can see, is subject to correction. Um, every ministry, or almost everyone, the critical ones, education, health, and all of these people, Barbara's Water Authority, all of these people have PR persons. But I would have hoped that they would have had corporate communications persons, because PR is only one part of that. But of course, they're telling you what they are, PR, and you can go and look at what PR is. I'm not going to give you a marketing lecture now. I stopped teaching full time since 1999. But the reality is they have all of these people on board, paying them to replicate what the government information service does, and so that people understand why what you're saying made sense. Because, Caswell, you've now asked me, and I'm going to explain, go beyond just answering the question yes or no. Every ministry had assigned to it a government information service officer, and you shared with that officer when, for example, you had major events. I'll use the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, for example. If we had a courtesy call from a diplomat or another minister or whatever, the GIS officers sat in those meetings and did stories, okay? And they would write stories, they would communicate. Now, the truth is, oftentimes you didn't necessarily see them covered in any substantial way, but they were, that information was shared. And I'm sure you made reference to something earlier, and I'm sure that probably came out of a newspaper or something. So that is the truth, you know. Is the prime minister keeping her travel secret? I don't know. I what I can tell you it is there's no formal communication as to where she goes when she travels. But I can also tell you that Barbadians work at Grantley Adams International Airport, whether it is the private, the facility for private jets, or whether it's the commercial aircraft. And people see things and they observe. When the prime minister travels, there are certain procedures that happen at the airport, and so on, and that happen at other airports. If you're traveling on commercial aircraft, you're probably going to see a Barbadian or Barbadians who will say, well, I saw your prime minister, and he or she, well, in the case, no she, but you would have heard, I saw Prime Minister Stewart, or I saw Prime Minister Thompson, I saw him traveling to wherever. I was going to London, and they got off in London, and then they disappeared. And then I would explain to the person, well, their official procedures followed. So I think Marcy have answered it and more than answered it. Caswell, I
Yeah,
guess,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
Well, thank you.
I knew the
Thank you
answer,
so much.
Maxine, but I knew the answer, but I wanted it from some person who was there, because the thing I make these things up.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody says Maxine is 100% correct. This person says I was at GIS. Shout out to Tony Cave and Margaret Hope. Right? Yeah, but I know we want to move on. There are two things that I want to just say, that someone has been messaging me, and this is something that we will have to look into. The gentleman who's messaging me about his allegations of police brutality, and of police, that the police is, and I've been getting that quite a bit. So I promise you that I am going to ask some questions for you, sir. That one that is because he's messaging me the whole night, and this is a young man, and he seemed to be scared. So
Mm.
I promise you that we are gonna ask some questions for you, okay, at a minimum, that we will try to do that, okay. But someone also, we want to move on, because I know you have something to talk to us about, Miss McLean. But Pimar, somebody sent this. I won't say who said it, and to Caswell. I just got a call telling me to ask Caswell if none of his nurses have complained about the rat living on C12 at the QEH. That's why I burst on there. Well, I don't know if it was C12 that I went to, and I encountered a rat. I told you the story already, and I ran and left all my children. The children I was there with, I was gone, because this rat run over their feet. They were waiting we had a student who was sick, and we were waiting, and the rat run, and then ran into the ward. But I don't remember if it was C12, if it's the same rat that living there. Mr. Franklin, you heard about the rat that is living on C12 QEH at the QEH?
No, I didn't hear about that one.
I
I heard
should have
about
laughed.
others.
I should have
I
laughed, but that
I,
is.
I heard about others and A&E, but I didn't
And
know about the ones in.
you heard about the rats that are
And
living
and
at.
and the thing is, the Johnny Apostles with the kitchen and all kinds of stuff. I heard about. They continue. I'll tell you sometime. Well, this is
And
long ago.
somebody
Though
said it
this
here
one.
that the Annie have the rat too.
Yes, I heard about that one, but I didn't hear about the C12 one. No,
Wow. Wow.
C12 is the cancer ward. Those people
Yeah.
don't need more infection.
Oh my.
Hmm.
Oh, so it was a different ward. It wasn't even the same ward that I went to for the child that was in. It was a well, I'm saying child, a teenager, was in the hospital. So and nobody told me that one, Kimar. I saw the rat myself, and I scampered like nothing. All of us cleared and left all the adults, Dave was there, everybody, we all run because it was so scary. this rat, and almost like it was coming after us. No, I'm making that part. I'm making up. But it did run over the girls. Run over one of
Wow.
the students. Foot. It's a fact. It's a fact. It did happen. Yeah. But Miss McLean, there's something that just occurred this evening. I know you want to bring it to the panel's discussion for Kimar and Mr. Franklin to have some to give their thoughts on it. Can you did you hear anything else? Because you said you were going to research it. We try to bring truth on the
Yeah, well,
program.
I can only flag it because, as I told you, I was going to pay my respects to the family of a former neighbor of mine in my, my neighborhood across from my parents. But I want to raise it, and it's interesting because you are talking about communication and openness and transparency, but Caswell, I got a call this evening. Just in fact, if it made me late because I told my sister I would meet her at 5 o'clock. I didn't get to the place until 5:30. But somebody called me to raise a matter that they understand has happened or is to happen in our school. And for me, I'll tell you what it is. The person called to say that they understand that either it has been carried out or the students are being asked they were informed, and this is what I wrote down, that the student would have taken, or they had been informed that they would be required to take a school leaver tracer study.
Mm-hmm.
um, they couldn't say who was administering it. In other words, it came with information, other things, other activities, which seems to be the norm, which I would expect. But I say to the person, what is the purpose of it? Who is administering the test? So the person couldn't say to me, now this is for school leavers. I don't know if it's fifth or sixth form because some schools have fifth form, some have sixth form.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as I started to ask the questions, because the person said they were very concerned about it, and especially in light of all the discussion that we had last year. So I said to the person, my understanding of a tracer study, as a marketer person or whatever. Let's say that you had, and I'll use a classic example because it's something I recommend to former students of mine who used to be involved. For years, I was involved from its inception with the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme. And I remember they had a 20th anniversary celebration. And I remember seeing that was some years ago, maybe about 5, 6, 7 years ago. Time seems to be going quickly. But I said to some former students of mine who are university lecturers now, it would be useful to do a tracer study of the first, let's say, 20 years, because the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme at that time was celebrating 20 years. And I had been asked to write an article, short article for publication. So I said to them, because I had invited them to help me to do some guest lecturing, because I used to do training, and see where the participants have gone, right? What have
Mm-hmm.
happened? Have they been able to establish successful businesses, whatever? So that the notion of a tracer study is you want to see what has happened after the fact. The other thing that I
Yeah.
can imagine that you're doing a tracer study is to collect baseline data. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
if you are about to leave school, and you're collecting information on students at that point in time, it sounds
Mm-hmm.
all well and good, and I have no difficulty. My big problem is why, how, who. It takes us back. In other words, my point is, if this is something new, I don't know. I'm not. I have school students, school age students in my family and so on, but I don't pay attention to what's happening in schools now. My son finished school a number of years ago. He's older than Kimar, so you would understand. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so my thing is, I am not au fait with all that is happening. But if a parent or concerned relative picks up a phone to call me and say, look, I have some concerns. You know something about education. Do you know anything about this? Y'all are out there in the media and whatever. And when I
Mm-hmm.
started to ask questions, the person could not say. My recommendation to the caller was, perhaps you need to talk to some teachers at the school, and the response I got was the teacher or teachers to whom they had spoken were unable to enlighten them. And that sounds so
Mhm.
deja vu for me. It sounds,
Mhm.
and my question is, and I mean, as I said, I didn't get a chance. I can tell you that I Googled tracer studies and I've seen some done in elsewhere in the Caribbean, and I will go back and look to see. And I'm not so much concerned at this point, Marcia, with the content because information. Well, I'll say why I am not, but I'll also say what sends out some red flags to me when I put pieces together. I'm not so concerned in the first instance with the content of that with a tracer study if they're saying that they want to collect some information so that they can see where people are going forward. Okay. However, my concern is with the process because if what was described to me occurred again where at short notice you're advising, in this case, no, well, previously they didn't say at short notice you're advising persons about a test, but you don't send home a
Yeah.
letter explaining, particularly against all that transpired. Now, on the other hand, this question that Vihoy is asking, I asked the question, what exactly are you collecting and why? And I raised this in the context of digitization, the whole discussion we had about security of people's information. What are you going to do with it? I mean, I could start putting on my conspiracy theorist hat and say, are you going to use this for parties? And I choose my words carefully because people like to throw the word political out there. Are you going to use it for partisan political purposes? Remember that sixth formers and fifth formers approaching 18 years old and they can vote. And under who is collecting this information and why? And who secures it and who has access after it's collected. So it really begs the question for me. As I said, I told you I would raise it. I want to talk about some other things about wealth creation or whatever. When you normally ask me what's on my mind, and those are the things I wanted to talk about. But then of course when I hear you talking about health, you bring me back into something else. But so I want to flag it. And as you know, I don't really get into but let me speak positively because that is how I am as well. I like to go and get my facts straight. But for somebody to pick up the phone that I don't know and call me Sunday evening, just as I was about to leave to go to a funeral home, I almost did an advertisement for a funeral home. I don't think I should do that. Um, you know, and I didn't say to the person once I heard, I stopped to understand because to me, we have been seeing too many mistakes, bad decisions, poor judgment exercise, you name it, however. And when it comes to children and so on, I say stick a pin and let us make sure we get it right. And I say that against the background of something else this morning. And I sent you a note about that because I listened this morning to, let me see, I gotta refresh my memory, will tell you. This morning, I chose to go to church. Apologies to my colleagues at St. Stephen's. I woke up late. I chose to go to church virtually, and I actually no, that's a voice message, so I can't listen. But I actually joined the service at St. George Parish Church, and I will tell you the issues that Reverend Rogers raised in talking about, and it fitted in with the theme of the readings for the day. Really makes me start to think about some of the things we're doing in relation to our children. I would listen to that again, but I think and when I look at this, y'all mentioned health, but I mentioned education, um, and the care. There are two vulnerable groups outside of persons with challenges and so on. There are two vulnerable groups in any society: the elderly and the children. And I am seeing a number of things happening where I am getting very concerned. It is as though if there's any merit, I wouldn't say truth because the person can pick up the phone and call me and tell me a lie. I don't have time to come on this program and lie. So if they're given what I was told, I have to ask the government and the officials at the Ministry of Education, are you thumbing your nose at Barbadians? Because if I were in that ministry, after all that transpired, I would give instructions to boards of management at the schools. I would give instructions to principals to instruct their year heads and their teachers that there must always be proper communication with the parents and guardians of children and with children themselves. And however, whatever the nature of the exercise, people need to understand what it is. Somebody spoke about the need for consent, when it is of whatever the nature. So I had to raise that because it threw up a red flag for me. And then in the conversation with the person actually raised another matter, because she actually indicated to me that there was some exam given, she understands, um last year. Now it sounded to me like something that they call in the primary school criterion reference test. And teachers can come and tell you what that is. I think that's something to look at, where children are in terms of their performance and so on. But the person said the school got notice, or the schools got notice 1 or so days before, this 1 day before the test was done. Now, like the exercise that they had at the Spring Memorial that nearly caused some children to and caused some children to collapse in shock. I would say probably almost God knows what they would have done to, and maybe they want to go any further than that. If you have an exercise and a criterion test, if it is supposed to test where you are, you don't want students preparing for the test. And therefore, you do the test. The student, you want to see where they are at a point in time. Um, and the thing about it is, what you do is to say to the school, to the students, at some point in time during the term, you will be given a test, and
Correct.
you advise the parents. So in other words, if it is given as a quote unquote surprise, so that children don't go home and try to cram and do a test, and therefore the test does not necessarily properly reflect that child's ability or whatever is tested. But you don't just spring these things without preparation. So what happened in one instance, I understand at one school, therefore, and I don't know if it applied to others, that once the children indicated, some parents then expressed concern, again coming out of all that transpired, and so they delayed the test for 2 days. What is wrong with the people who are running the ministries? Because at the end of the day now, I have to ask the people who at the operational level, what is happening to you? Because, and I asked the minister, what kind of decisions are taking place under your watch? Because, it seems as though people seem to, I don't remember all of these books I read in literature and so on, although I did literature as a sixth former. But they tell you something about people have lost their reason and whatever else. Casual, you would be a classics kind of fellow, so you might remember some of these quotes. But people seem to have gone mad. Have they forgotten basic ways of decision making? What's wrong? It bothers me that nobody seems to be learning, or a lot of these people seem not to be learning. I heard Caswell mention the situation with permanent secretaries. And I will say this and stop, because when you get me going, I will go. I expressed concern when I was a minister of government about what I saw to be a pending problem in middle and senior management levels in the public service. And a lot of it, sadly, stemmed from persons who felt, and sometimes who openly expressed, their positions in a highly unprofessional manner. I know one gentleman high up in the system said to one of my colleagues, I ain't driving a stroke till my government come back in office. Now I say it to public servants, and I said this sitting in the boardroom at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, and I had reason because of things I observed, and I said to staff, You do not work for me, Maxine McLean. You do not work for me, Maxine McLean, a minister of government of the Democrat, appointed by Democrat Labour Party. You work for the people of Barbados, and to that extent, it includes me, you, and everybody in this room. But if you want to be unprofessional, you do it at your own peril. Because yes, you will say, well, she will come and go, but in the interim, while you're waiting for me to go, the people of Barbados are suffering. And I also will share this. One of my late university colleagues, who was very much involved in public service, he's no longer with us, said to me in the first year or so, 2 years of the previous administration, and this was a man who served under many administrations, and he said, I have never seen the civil service so politicized. There was this determination to frustrate. And because of that, people were not doing the work. There were people waiting in the wings saying, well, when their term will come, when things change. But the ones who were saying their term will come were not preparing themselves to do the job. And I would
Yeah.
say the last thing, Caswell mentioned Harcourt Lewis. I will mention another name because I heard him making this point to my sister's late husband as a retired public servant, Branston Collymore. And he
Yes,
was telling
that's
my
another one.
brother-in-law, my late brother-in-law, my advice I give to all of my public officers: give the minister and the government the best advice you can. If they do not want to take it, if they do not agree with it, you have done your part. And that is my advice to public servants. Some of you have messed around and you've been rewarded for it. Some of you have been working hard and being frustrated or whatever. Whatever your status is, you are supposed to be professionals working on behalf of not a D or BLP administration, not a David Thompson or an Arthur Frondel Stewart or Mia Montley. You are working on behalf of the people
The
of
people.
Barbados.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said a mouthful.
Thank you.
Maxine, let me tell you
Thank
something,
you,
see?
Miss McLean.
You were saying that the public service has been politicized, and more so than any other time in history. That is true. But the country has been politicized as well. I well remember when election season used to be a 3 week period. People would show the big thing and drink and quarrel with one another during that time. And then at election night, everybody met friends again. This
Marcy, that's like casual and
administration,
me quarreling about politics. Go ahead, casual.
right? This administration has been keeping that political nonsense, campaign nonsense running
Five
throughout their
years.
term.
5 years.
So everybody is a B or a D. They don't. But one thing people only to be B's and D's at election time. Only time you had any real B's and D's used to be the hardcore people who used to go to branch meetings and stuff and that kind of thing. And there used to be minor, not a lot. When you got 40 people going to branch meeting, you feel good. But no, everybody have been made to, like, how it was in Jamaica. You were always JLP or PNM, MC, what I can't know, um, all the time. You can't wear a particular color shirt because if you went in a particular area had on the wrong shirt. I know a person who was a friend of mine. He went to Jamaica and a debating competition at UV, and he didn't know the better. He got a calendar, and he got shot at. He shot hit the shopping bag because he had on the wrong color shirt. And this is where we are heading. This is where Miss Morley is pushing us. So I can tell another thing that has been politicized. When she became prime minister in 2018, I am told by prison officers, fellas said, boy, be out of here. Be going home soon. And what happened? They went home soon for truth. Watch it.
Yeah. Yeah. Miss McLean, thanks, Caswell. Miss McLean raised a very important issue here that is very concerning for me. I remember the first time that I went on the street by myself was over a similar thing like this, and Kimar was there who helped me. I almost say you helped me to carry the cross. It felt like a cross, but it was my big sign. But Kimar, I'm listening here, and one of the things I that annoys me a lot is when it feels as though there's a disregard for people. You are given a job, and the job is to serve the people, and you have totally disregarded them. Here it is. There's a parent that is alleging, because we haven't seen the documents and so on, and others in the chat are talking about it as well, that they heard children complaining about this tracers test. And when we say a test, it's more like a survey, right? That is being given to these students, and from what these two parents are saying, it is appearing that the parents once again were not informed, nor the students, or explain to them what this tracer study is about, because somebody is comparing it to the criterion test. It's not an academic test. Okay, that's not what the tracer test. The tracer study traces the individual sometime after an event has taken place, and follow up on what has happened in their lives since then. That is what the tracer study does. Okay, so let's be clear here. It's not because they were talking about a computer test schema. It was not. It wasn't a test, and this is not an academic test that is happening. What's going through your mind, Kimar? Because I'm stunned that this same ministry would do the same thing so many times. I don't understand. What parents don't matter to them? I don't know. Kimar?
Hmm. Well, wish to wait to get more details on the test and see exactly what questions are being asked before you make a forceful comment. But at least for now, um, that thing called consent, the
Yeah.
government is subtly trying to erase parental consent in school, subtly as well. I didn't pick it up all along, but subtly I saw that they were trying something through the same digital ID as well, in terms of trying to register children onto cards. You saw it with the child protection bill, especially, and you saw it in the Ministry of Education before, even before K. McConney. The IDB test was administered to other schools. I know about it on the Santia. So the stealth at which the government is operating is something that we need to pay closer attention to. We thought we saw the end of this behavior with the last IDB test. However, the behavior has shown its ugly head once more. Like I said, but however, we need to garner from the people who administered it, if they got the requisite permission to administer the test, and if they didn't, then they should find themselves in legal trouble with the parents. That's my brief opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. And as
But
you
I'll
rightly
tell you
said,
something.
yeah, go ahead, Mr. Pankin.
There's no need for any tracer test now. With that digital ID, they can know everything about you from the time you step through the door. That's what this ID is all about. It is scary. So at these distractions that they're using, because they can know if you shop at a particular store, which I wasn't calling names and stores, advertising them, they will pay. Um, they will know where you went, and if you're over a particular age, you know which bus you catch, they can know everything about you.
But
So
Caswell, stick a pin right there. But if you're 15, 16, 17, 18, they don't have that information. So they're collecting before you start to get there. So they will have the entire family know.
yeah, yeah, it doesn't. You see, but you know what this is. When I know where you are, what you're doing, how you're doing, I can market to you easier.
Yes.
And this is Barbados Labour Party marketing. You must understand that the Barbados Labour Party is market driven, got driven by a lot of professional marketers. I can give you a joke now, right? I like to give you a little joke, something to break the tension. Barbados Labour Party is very good at marketing. Some years ago, when David Thompson was campaigning, he had a woman called Jennifer Laszlo, I think it was, and she was an American. And the Barbados Labour Party found out about this. Well, she wasn't hidden. She was around black forums, she was in meetings, I think she was their consultant. And they made a mess. People coming into Barbados and interfering in our elections and all kind of thing. At the same time, the Barbados Labour Party had a consultant by the name of Roy Boyk out from out of Trinidad doing exactly the same thing, but the Dems didn't know. And they cursed the Barbados, the Democrat Labour Party for having exactly what they had. You know, they must be, because I was involved in the campaign and I sat with Roy
Wow.
Boyk and we exchanged ideas. He used a lot of my ideas too. And of course, they came out victorious. But they had the exact thing that they were crying out about and said it was wrong. They had one. So you see, it is marketing. But the Dems
Yeah.
are not so good. It's good as good
Yeah.
marketers as the Barbados Labour Party. They want to rely on their promises and stuff. But the Barbados Labour Party and their promises are a lot of deceit. They trick you, and they get a
They
lot of
also
fancy
don't
things.
have the money, Caswell, that the BLP has to pay these
But
people.
cause they're the white people don't give them the money.
Mhm.
That all the businesses. What you expect? You see, look, Maxine there. You remember NSRL? Who were the people up front in that march? Mere whole bunch of white people. Then the foolish union people, not unity. But they're trying to pull down the government for the NSRL because the white people who had owned businesses in Barbados and do all the importing didn't want that to pay their fair share of taxes. And then the opposition promised them if we get in power, well, we're going to get rid of that tax. And one of the first things they did in office was to get rid of that tax. Mind you, they get rid of that tax when they needed money. When they needed money and they were writing off writing off debt and all kind of stuff from people. Some people, oh, they're writing off. I know you can write off my money. But you needed money and you refused to collect money and abolish a tax that was bringing in money. But those people paid for it. You see, he who pays the piper calls the tune. The Democratic Labour Party has a little stages by the back of a truck and thing. The Democratic Party lists by the back of a truck and stuff. The Barbados Labour Party had massive multimedia stages and stuff. But when I had the money to do that, and you get tricked. I mean, when they say I mean the people of Barbados, because all of that fancy glitz and glamour did not um, work out the good governance or proper governance or even good policies. They're up to no,
Yeah.
they don't know what they're doing. I always tell people they have the two skill sets. One skill set is to win the election. Good, that skill's finished. The next skill set now is to run the government. The Barbados Labour Party is heavily endowed with the skill set to win. But there's a paucity of the skill set to manage the country. And that's the problem that we're having now. And you're seeing it every day.
Yeah. Kimar, someone is saying here, thank you, Mr. Franklin. Kimar, someone is saying that we really need to do some research into this tracer study. And I think as the normal person, if they hear test, they're thinking it's something academic. And on the surface, a tracer study is not necessarily a bad thing. Because you want to know how that young person is doing years after, and to be able, if it is that you're going to do programs to help them. I think the fundamental thing here that we must understand is it's to find out is did these parents have consent? Did they give consent for their children to be part of this study? Or for this to be, for them to be given this test to do. And that is where we're getting at, that is very, very important. So tracer studies on a whole is not that they are bad, But at this point, as Mr. Franklin says, we are going to be looking at everything because of what you did before. You administered a sex test earlier up, and we didn't know anything about it. Parents didn't know about it. Then you went in with cutlasses and all these things on the children at Springer Memorial, and the parents didn't know about it. It's like this is the running thing. The child protection bill is there. You're trying to take away the rights of the parents. What is going on here? And that is what we're saying. So please understand, we have not seen the Tracer study. We don't know the contents in the Tracer study. And we're not saying that all Tracer studies that they are bad. We're saying it appears to us, based on the parents that have contacted Ms. McLean, that they did not know about it. And we are putting this out in the public so that you will check with your children, your teenage children, especially those in fifth and sixth forms, probably fourth form as well, if they got this kind of a test or study to do, and to raise a to make noise about it if it is that you did not know about it. I think that is important. Kimar, it seemed like you want to say something there about that. No.
Marcia,
Um.
I
Yes.
just went, while you were speaking, I went on Google Tracer study, and I came across in Barbados, and I came across an article written by Joyanne Gill, who happened to be a government information service officer. And this was an article published on June the 5th, 2015, and it says Tracer study to examine education perceptions. I'll just read the three paragraphs that came up on my screen. The transition of young graduates into the world of work and their perceptions of levels of employability and the education received at this island's 22 secondary schools and 3 technical and vocational education and training TVET institutions will be scrutinized over the next few months. A clear signal of this came yesterday with the official launch of the Graduate Tracer Study by the Ministry of Education, Science, Technology, and Innovation at Infinity on the Beach, Dover, Christchurch. Acting Program Director of the Program Coordinating Unit, PCU, Junior Burgess, explained that the launch of the Tracer study was part of the third component of the Skills for the Future program, which addressed educational strengthening. And it goes on and on. The point that I am seeing here is that this program was discussed and it talked about the company. It said, 2 paragraphs later, it said Trinidadian firm Kyrie Consultant Limited had been contracted to conduct the survey designed by Barbadian consultant Dr. Dwayne Devonish and managed out of the PCU of the ministry. The survey will examine graduate populations within Barbados Community College, the SJPP, the Barbados Vocational Training Board, etc. The point I'm making here, and is that this was done. And it goes on to say, the last paragraph, its main objective is to support the Human Resource Development Strategy 2011-2016, with an emphasis on improving the quality and relevance of secondary education and the effectiveness of technical and vocational education in Barbados. What this article said, according to the GIS officer, which meant that this was a release out there, was that as the director said, it was something to come. You understand? So people would have been informed about this, tell you what it was, who was doing it. So my question is, if this is a continuation of this, why isn't there information out there? If it's something new, why isn't it out there? And clearly the person
That was 2015.
yeah,
Let's clarify that was 2015.
yeah, this was
How
an
many
article
years?
June the 5th, 2015, Tracer study to examine education perceptions by Joyanne Gill. And as I say, Joyanne Gill was a government information service officer. At one time, she worked with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. I think at another time, she might have been at the QEH. But I would have worked with her professionally. So the point, as I said, I was trying to find if there was information. So when I saw that, I thought I would share it because it speaks to something like that. But from reading that article, if the person who called me today had information like that, they would not
Yes.
have to be raising a concern and having some kind of doubts or worries. And that is essentially what I started out by saying. there's the issue, what I imagine it was, but it didn't tell you the scope of it or anything. But I know what a tracer study is. The point I was making was I had concerns about the process, and that is
Yes.
that bears out exactly a way that it can be done, and people have that information. Then there's no skepticism, no worry, no fear, no anything negative. But
Yeah.
I don't know why information like that is not forthcoming, because we have all the kinds of personnel replicated, duplicated, whatever you want to call it, that should be doing
hmm
this.
Yeah, yes. And that is there. I mean, with all of these media departments that they have, they have the GIS, and they have the Department of Public Affairs, and it comes back down to just bad management. The Ministry of Education is being run in Jamaica, we say, like a patty shop. You understand? It is not being run properly. And anybody with any of that have a business or have run any organization can look clearly at the Ministry of Education. You could tell. I mean, you had a man that was standing outside there, in a pamper, and people thought he was mad. And I know what if he's like going out there by yourself, people think that you're a mad person, but you saw that man was quite in his right mind, and concerned about the bullying that is happening in the schools. And when you complain, there's no structure, is what I'm saying. There's just a mismanagement. It's badly run, badly run. And it's as though we're supposed to just accept it. They've now put someone over there. She's a minister. I don't know what her role is. Mr. Franklin, what is the role of the new minister? I can't. Her name is Sandra Husbands is now at the Ministry of Education as well. What is her
Well,
role?
they say she has responsibility for tertiary education. The Minister of Education has responsibility for education.
hmm
What they might want to say is that she will deal with the tertiary aspects of it, but as a minister in the ministry, you can't say nothing. So you still got to be the minister. So she's not responsible for anything, but that makes it sound good. And I don't know what she's going to do or what she is doing. Because the problem is not throwing another minister in there. The problem is that you got a minister that seems incompetent. If she isn't, she's not letting us know. She has certainly hidden any talent that she has. And I don't know which bushel she got it under, but she has hidden her talent so much because the prime minister believes that she's talented, and push her. First, she was at what they call Miss and Miss Ministry of International Science and Technology, but it was missed MAST. But she certainly missed MISS everything. She she and how to get out of there. And they then put in education because Sandy couldn't handle it. And I can understand Sandy not being able to handle education at the time because Sandy was not well, and it would have been a burden for anybody, even a well person in ministry of education. But they had Springer, Dr. Rommel Springer, the MP for St. Andrew, as her parliamentary secretary. Because that's all you need when the minister needs help. He gets a parliamentary secretary according to the Constitution. But no, no, no. It
Where
is
is he
just,
now, Rommel?
they
Dr.
move him to
Springer.
another ministry. I can't
Okay.
remember. I think, I don't
Don't
remember,
lose
but
your thought. Don't lose
I
your
don't
thought.
want to guess,
Okay.
But what is happening here? She's just throwing in people and figure about it. So that's, like if you throw paper at the wall, at the ceiling, and bathroom, some will stick. But she's just doing that. She's throwing somebody there. Something will work out. It's what was. And the thing is, I don't know Sandra's husband's expertise in education or anything. I don't know her expertise. Period. That she
What
did
is
a few.
interesting is that she's never been given a ministry, and I mean, as a full minister, she's been around Ishmael, um, came. David, was it David? Was his name
Davidson Ishmael.
Ishmael? He came and and she's been
She is
assisting.
she is not well loved, and the prime minister didn't want her in the first place. But because she had built up a network in St. James South, they couldn't get rid of her because when they tried to put another candidate to run against her, the branch people, and you know who that candidate is, and Max is laughing. So I gotta share the joke with you. Um, Marcia, Maxine knows that she's laughing. Mia
Who's the
was put.
candidate as well?
Mia was push. Mia, I can tell you. Mia was pushing Ronnie Dearwood. Here we tell you to be the
Okay.
candidate for St. James South, and Sandra would not step down so that Ronnie will get the nomination to run. So with that in mind, Mia always held that um, against Sandra. So she's not going to get anything substantive to do. But you see, she doesn't want somebody to cross the floor. So she still has to give her something so that she will get her nice ministerial pay back. Because the prime minister bought off everybody. The only body that she hasn't brought off so far is Ralph Thorne.
Your thorn in the
Ralph
flesh.
Thorne. Thorn in the flesh. Can I just say something else about Sandra husbands, which a lot of people, some people might not know. I'm just learning of it, and that there are a lot of pastors are connected. She's very well connected in the church circle. So the prime minister knows exactly why she's holding on to her. There was a lot of movement that was happening
Spiritual
that supported.
advisors.
Uh,
I said spiritual advisors. Maybe she recommended
yes,
that.
thank you. You, Miss McLean. So there are things that I can't say everything on here, but there is something that happened the last couple months of the year with the Samoa agreement with the pastors, okay, and with them pushing a lot of materials to the pastors in this country. All right, and she's considered a Christian, Sandra Husbands, and so she is. You would hear the pastor saying, "But Sandra Husbands is a Christian." So because the issues that the churches have, they're worried about the children and this whole gender thing. I know exactly that movement. So she was put over there to quiet them down, to put them over the in the Ministry of Education, dealing with tertiary education. It's just the appearance, their parents, so that they will be calm and thinking that nothing is going to happen, because the church's trust, generally speaking, so a lot of the church leaders, they trust Sandra husbands, especially those in Pawi, I'm gonna call them out, the Pentecostal assemblies of the West Indies. That particular group, they would have bent down and prayed over feet, and they do all kinds of things. Well, they weren't the ones who washed their feet, but they pushed this administration within churches. You can all come for me. Nobody else said the name. I said it. And I have my facts. I have my facts. I know what I'm talking about. So a lot of those leaders, Mr. Franklin, were being wooed behind the scenes by Sandra husbands during the holiday period. Yes, you heard they come up with these spiritual advisors. Let's look at it. These spiritual advisors, and then they put her over there at education because they knew that the church people were concerned about the children being taught about two men and two women and choosing your gender. So they, in their minds, they think that this is what is going to happen. It's a PR stunt. It's a PR stunt, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to speak about it, because, and these are things that are happening. There were meetings with pastors right before Christmas. It happened.
But you see,
See?
that means the pastors have more influence than the workers of this country because the Minister of Labor is supposed to be a Christian too. And I'm going to pay him the money. You know what I mean? He's Minister of Labor. The case that I just won recently, his Labor Department wrote to that employer and said, "You can't do that." And the Rubis ignored them. And poor minister up there ain't got no influence. Cause that's what happened, you know. I,
Marcia, sorry, Kaz, I ain't
no, no,
finished.
go ahead, you go ahead, you go ahead.
This is very personal to me and my neighborhood. And as you talked about Sandra husbands, you might know I live in St. James South. And I went on my tablet. I'm not going to read the letter. I'm just going to say that I wrote to Sandra husbands, and I began the letter. Dear Minister Husbands, I'm writing to you in your capacity as Member of Parliament um, for St. James South. As I write this letter, I'm experiencing severe reactions, da da da. And I wrote to her, drawing a problem to her attention. This was dated 30th of August 2021. It went from my computer at 1:29 p.m. And I wrote to her explaining the problems we had. The problem continues, and this was her response to me. I'm just putting her on public notice because I was working through my mind today as I continue to be aggravated by the problem that I was going to think. But this was her reply. Dear Miss McLean, thank you for your note. Sandra Husbands, St. James, South MP. I am saying to Miss Husbands, I'm going to send you this letter back again. This is over 2 years now, and the problem in my neighborhood continues, and it is particularly aggravating in the context of all the worries that we have about dengue fever, rats, and all of these things. So hopefully, while y'all talk about the cabinet position that she has, as party executive, I just want to remind her as a member of parliament, this is a problem that surfaced after she became minister. And I've written to all kinds of agencies, and I wrote to her because they always ask you, have you spoken to your MP? She was the last resort, but it is still there. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't say more on the thing. It is a major problem in the context of all the mosquito borne and other vermin matters that these borne diseases. And I trust that she will do a little more than thank you that tell me she got my note. It
Well,
wasn't a
I,
look
Yeah.
like it was
well,
a look
at least,
action.
at
And
least you
that's
got
a
a
public
response.
appeal. St.
Yeah.
James South
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
very large constituency. Go ahead, Caswell. Caswell,
Well,
you
Yeah.
at
live
least,
in St. James South too?
yes.
Someone said something here, and I have to respond to it because ECD, you're right. Some of what I've said is theory, but I have spoken a lot of facts, and the facts that I've spoken, one is that through Sandra Husbands, the church was being um, courted just before Christmas, sir. Read some more agreement. There was a lot of turmoil there, and she was the person. So these are the facts. I'm within the church community. They don't own me. They don't want to believe. They say I'm not part of them, but I am part of them, and I know. I also know that through her and through her and whomever else, some other people, there was a meeting with pastors. Read the Samoa agreement. I am aware of that because we had just done the Recover All symposium with those lawyers were in and so on, and they were worried about the church community. So understand there are some facts. The theory part of this is that I believe that she was put at the Ministry of Education as a PR stunt and to quiet down the church. That's the only theory that I spoke about. Okay, so just be clear on that. Continue as well. We have what, 7 minutes?
Yeah, well, no, I was just telling Maxine that you give me an idea that I have to write because, they fix all the roads down here, all the roads, and they had the scrape the surface and we paved them and stuff, except mine. I don't know if that was the run out of stuff at that point. So I'm going to write so what happened with mine
Conveniently.
because I drive up there. I got to drive really slow because the car go boop and up and down. Every other road in this, even people drivers get a little thing, and I ain't got none. And this is so I think I got to take your lead. I get
I'm going
ready
to
to
send
ask you
back
what
that
happened with mine.
letter. I'm
I'm
gonna
going.
send that
I'm
letter
going to
back.
ask
I'm
And
curious.
because
I'm glad you go ahead, Caswell.
no. So I said because I don't think I'm that important that they would want to victimize me. I am nobody. So it got to be an omission.
They ran
Yeah.
out of material.
Well, I'm
That
glad you guys are talking about writing your MPs. Kimar, I'm not sure if your camera, if you're still on, but Kimar, that press conference that we did, I know people are sending your clip all about everywhere. And one of the things I said at the start of this program is I asked those who are watching, and we had over probably about 680 something persons watching at one point tonight, that everybody email their NPs, Facebook them. Those of you who have them on Facebook, send a message to them. Also, WhatsApp. Do you have their WhatsApp number? And what we're sending to them, it's the press conference. That document, Miss McLean, that we put together with all the
right.
questions, and gave them the reasons of our questions, the reasons of our concerns. We went through everything. It's well documented. Thanks to Lisa Niles, who listened to
Excellent.
all that we had to say and did an excellent job. And so that document, Kimar, if we're going to be sending it to our MPs, everybody who's listening, people have already started to message me for it. It will be on the Marcia Week Show um, Facebook page, right? Or you can WhatsApp us. Miss McLean will have it. Caswell will have it. Kimar will have it. Any of us, you can message us to get this document to send to your member of parliament. We are going to make sure that it goes to the prime minister's office. If you can send it there as well. But focus a lot on your NP. All right, the media has it. The media has it. We want the MPs to have it. We want all of them. They're going to Parliament on Tuesday. Not that it makes a difference, but because of the moves that we're going to make, we want to make sure that all 30 of them had it.
They
Important.
can't say they didn't know.
Can't say
Not,
they didn't know, right, Kimar? Kimar, what are your thoughts on that? Kimar hasn't said much for a couple minutes now, so let me just get him in on that.
Yeah, well, I definitely agree with the move. I definitely support it. It's an excellent idea. They will have the information right to hand, and they will have to act accordingly. They see that we are serious about the affairs of Barbadians, and that we are watching them as they ask us to do. Watchmen, so we watching you, right? So
but before we go, now, people were asking about Kate McConnell, what she's doing in ministry. She's been finding work for her family and a lot of her constituents. I, I got a report. And, so a lot of these people,
The way you
Is it
say
what
these
I was
things.
listening keenly to see what she was doing?
a lot of these people who used to be people who do sanitizing at schools, when they had COVID, they got spray their hands and that kind of thing. No, they are not what you call. Let me get it correct. The school monitors, the school monitors. I know they have them in the classroom with the teachers, what it is, because they're not only for sanitizing, but you can say on your family and friends. So they switch the job into something else. Bloating the government payroll with people in the classroom that don't know about teaching. I remember at the beginning of the year, the BUT was complaining about them sending home teachers. So you send home teachers that really need in the place and put in people who can't teach nothing because they were spraying little alcohol in your hand and you would think, no, they are they call them classroom monitors. This is
Teacher
what they have been
assistant.
doing.
Yeah.
So you can't say that she isn't doing anything. She got a job for a lot of people,
She
you
needs to
know.
train them though. I heard a caller to brass tacks complain about the quality of those converted hand sprayers in teaching assistants who need some basic. No, a lady who I don't think I should call her name when they get her permission. Who calls? Who's very much into education called and was complaining and asked that these people be trained because she was appalled about the standard. I mean, how they communicated with the children and whatever else. But
They're over 200, you know.
wow.
They're over
How many, how
200.
many, how many
So
schools in Barbados altogether? We have about 20 something secondary schools. How many?
I don't recall.
I
I,
used to
I think
remember
we have
that.
less than 200. I know we have to check the numbers, but that's a large number. That is.
You know, they're
Yeah.
over 200 of them, you know. And all they do, these people who have no education whatsoever, basically, that's why the best job they could have gotten was spraying hands. Not that you, I have a problem
There's nothing wrong with that.
with that. What I'm saying to you, coming from spraying hands to be in the classroom, I got a problem with that.
Mercy, stop laughing, Marcy. You're making me laugh. Sorry.
You know,
No,
a
it's
teacher's
okay.
assistant should at least know the alphabet. You know, I can't get me to start laughing. I serious.
I am serious too, but it's just the way you express these things.
Yeah,
Go
yeah, it's
ahead.
No, a teacher's
hilarious.
assistant should at least know the alphabet. You got people inside the classroom. I want people, little children, that handle it there. But Minister for
You
Jobs,
can't make
over
these things
200.
up, but this is our Minister of Education, and they really need to we need to get rid of them. But the ministers who we really need to get rid of. I want to say that we are gone over time, but let me just quickly announce that we have this very very wonderful guest that is going to be joining us on the program, and you're going to see some information that's going to come out on him. The first to join, I'm not going to announce the second one yet, but the first person that is going to join on Wednesday is Mr. Glenn Murray. Anybody knows him?
Ask Caswell. Yeah, I
That's
know Glenn.
I know Glenn very well. I consider him one of my
So
friends.
Mr. Glenn Murray has offered himself up. I have to discuss with him to see how often he's going to be able to come on. And there's another very interesting person that is going to be on, I think, next Sunday. But we will wait. We will wait. We wait. They say wait till Tuesday, and they will know. I think Kimar know. I see the Kimar have like a smirk on his face there. But we don't say anything, Kimar.
Tell me.
Kimar don't say anything. Kimar, Kimar have a little smirk on the face there. Kimar don't say a word. Hold your tongue, because I don't want to go make any announcement and then it doesn't happen.
Egg in your
But Mr.
face.
Glenn Murray told me I can say it, and he's coming on really to give a bit of history on a serious note as to what is happening, and he's done a lot of research, and so he's going to be able to. I will tell you more about what he's doing on Monday. But it's going to be quite interesting what he's going to share with us. Very educational, I must say. I'm quite impressed with what he's presented to me. So once again, thank you all for coming, for joining.
But
Um,
Marcia, before you do that, there's something I wanted to tell you. I commissioned uh, a survey, and I only got the results tonight, so I can't think it. It's the Barbados Labor Relations and Unions Perception Survey.
Wow.
I commissioned it at the end of last year, and like November, December, and January, and so I've now gotten the results, and it makes quite interesting reading. I'm going to share it
What's
with
the
you.
title again? What's the title again? Let me write it down.
It is labor the Barbados Labor Relations and Union Perception Survey. I'm going to share it with you, Marcia.
mhm.
I'm not going to use it myself. I mean, on the show, but I'm just going to send it for you. This
Yes,
is one. This is wonderful reading.
yes. Okay, no problem. We will look at that. We will definitely look at that. Everybody will have just a one final thought to the citizens of Barbados, to the opposition, the citizens who are the opposition. I will start with the youngest, Kimar. One thought before you leave tonight. Um,
Smirking. I don't know about what.
Smirking because he knows what we're talking about, but he can't say a word. He's on gag order, as somebody says. But go ahead, Kimar.
Yeah. Well, my soul is no longer troubled. My heart is very light tonight. I had a very good show. I always enjoy being here with you all. It's a pleasure also to, to learn from you all. I welcome all of the knowledge, and I also give back some youth to you guys as well.
Thank you.
So it was good. Thanks to the audience all the time, the viewers, the loyal opposition. Always good to be you. Whenever we have a chance to be on. So I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. I had a really good show again. Great contributions as usual. And yes, that is me. So goodbye. Over to you, Marcia.
Yes. Thank you, Himar. And Miss McLean, there was a question, and that's been coming up, and I would love for you to answer it in all fairness. Not tonight, but I just want to say it. It's Ricky Straker, and he's asking about the issuance of the diplomatic passports under the DLP, and he talked about relaxing the qualification policy. If it was, he wants to know if it was truly relaxed in 2017. So you don't have to answer no, but in fairness to Ricky, he's been and others have been asking about it, so we want to make sure, so if you can research that and let us know. But anyway, Miss McLean, just give us your just speak to the citizens, the opposition of Barbados.
All right. I will look to Miss Ricky, who is, I think you say Straker or whatever the name was.
Yes,
I
Ricky
did speak to
Straker.
that, but I will go and find the documents. I have my minutes of my cabinet meetings. I am a note taker, so I have personal notes, and so I will research it. What I can tell you is some of what I'm hearing happen now did not happen then, but that's not important. My heart is not as light as Kimar's. I guess is a bit older than Kimar's heart, but as I listen to your discussion about health, it takes me back to the period 2006-7 when I was part of a group of hangers outers. We used to hang out together, and in all concern for this country, we undertook to do some serious research and came up with a document called Rescue the QEH. I am going to go find it because I'm concerned that we are seeing situations probably as bad as or worse than what happened there. And we know that health is so critical to Barbados. It's this one of the two major areas of expenditure for this government and governments over the years, both administrations, lots of money going to health. And we need to focus on what is happening there. And I have been pulling out my notes. The other thing that I wanted to remember quickly, Marcia, that I had mentioned to you is the medicinal marijuana industry. I am very concerned that we are going to go nowhere with that. The government has been spending money. I am not sure where they are with it. But based on my research and my discussions with um, someone who was an advisor, I think one of the advisors to the government in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, who explained to me the industry and what I've been researching. As with everything else, we talk a lot here, but I don't see us going anywhere with it. I heard recently the former senator, who I think is CEO or whatever, took over from Dr. Monroe Knight. Um, so I really am wondering how much money the government is spending and whether or not they seriously think that we will go somewhere. This is about what, how many years now since they've been speaking about that? St. Vincent has been in the business, and there are a whole set of issues there. And I hope that we don't see another set of money being spent with nothing to show for it. Um,
Yeah,
Continue to do the work
we need to have a show dedicated, not the entire show, but a good section, and so we will
because
discuss that, Miss McLean.
because
Thank you.
I think
Over to the general.
Yeah,
Yes,
well,
over to
thanks.
the general. We are 10 to 9 at 9 minutes past 10.
All right, thank you all again. I've seen some people say they're happy to see me back up and running and thing, and I'm not running, I'm walking, but I'm up. And I tell you something, though, when I came on this show, I was still a bit nasal, and this show cleared it up. So this show like good for me,
Pepper.
cause I got out of my bed. Anyhow, look, I wish you all a good night, and keep on watching. It's more to
Yes,
come.
thank you, Casual. And thanks for the comic relief. Thank you for the humor. And thanks for the information that Pima brought to clear up for a lot of citizens about the water and the sewage. Appreciate that. Thank you, Miss McLean, for this new piece of information that was brought to the public tonight about these tracer studies that the parents need to look out for. Okay, God bless you all. And don't forget our assignment. We have assignments. Everybody got assignment. Get to your MP. We're going to get this stuff to your MP. We are learning and we have assignments. So when we come Monday, we're going to find out if we did the assignment. Okay. All right. God bless you. I love you all.
Bye
Thank you
bye.
for joining me. God
Bye
bless you.
bye.
Thank you, panel.
Good night.
Bye,
Kimar, keep the secret that Marcia shared with you and nobody else.
Marsha, I sent the survey to you.
all right. Thank you.
I emailed it. I emailed it.
Emailed it. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye bye.